उपस्थित सभी विद्वजनों को मैं प्रणाम कर रहा हूँ। मैं आभारी हूँ प्रोफेसर कश्मीर सिंह जी का, जिन्होंने आज इस विद्वत सभा में, जिसमें कि हमारे कुछ विशिष्ट विद्वान दिल्ली से, जो सारे भारतवर्ष में इस DST के प्रकल्प से पूरे, जिसे आप साइंस कहते हैं, उसका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और सुपर स्ट्रक्चर का निर्माण करते हैं, और जिनकी वैज्ञानिक दृष्टि, वैज्ञानिक सोच की सारे राष्ट्र को बहुत महती आवश्यकता है। मैं प्रोफेसर भट्टाचार्य का, मैं पाणिग्रही साहब का, और मेरे अन्य युवा मित्र बैठे हैं, उपेंद्र जी, उनका पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय जैसे महान विश्वविद्यालय में विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से, कुलपति महोदय की ओर से स्वागत करता हूँ। मैं अपने उन पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय के जो बहुत ही विशिष्ट, बहुत ही प्रखर वैज्ञानिक हमारे समक्ष बैठे हुए हैं, जिसमें कि प्रोफेसर उपेंद्र तिवारी हैं और सुकेश जी हैं और सभी मेरे मित्र जो यहाँ पर हैं, मैं उनका भी अभिवादन करता हूँ। मैं बहुत ही संक्षेप में कुछ बात कहना चाहता हूँ, और पूरी विनम्रता के साथ, कि मेरा अनुभव रहा है साइंस कम्युनिकेशन में। मैंने मैक्समुलर भवन वगैरह में भी मैंने इस प्रकार के व्याख्यान दिए जो बहुत से वैज्ञानिकों को पसंद नहीं आए। मैं आपकी नापसंदी का पहले उसके प्रति क्षमा याचना करते हुए मैं अपनी बात थोड़ी सी संक्षेप में आपको, कि क्यों, वाई माई डिस्कोर्स इज ऑफन डिसलाइक्ड बाय द साइंटिस्ट्स इन इंडिया। पहली बात, ज्ञान का और संस्कृति का और समाज का एक सीधा सातत्य संबंध होता है। देयर इज ए डायरेक्ट कंटिन्यूटी एंड कोरिलेशन which cannot be denied between the language of knowledge and the language of society. If you create a disconnect, जैसे ही आपने उस संयोग में, उस संगम में एक विभेद पैदा किया, एक खाई पैदा की, आप साइंटिस्ट हो सकते हैं, ये DST साइंटिस्ट का एक बहुत बड़ा पूल हो सकता है, but you are nowhere to be seen in the overall significance of the scientific temper, its protection, propagation in people's own languages. आरोपित मैं रेखांकित करना चाहता हूं आदरणीय APJ अब्दुल कलाम जी, और परसों ही व्याख्यान दिया है हमारे माननीय जो कुलाधिपति महोदय हैं वेंकैया नायडू जी। उन्होंने कहा कि आप एक भाषा के गुलामी की उस पराकाष्ठा तक पहुंच चुके हैं, उसमें सिर्फ वैज्ञानिक ही इन्वॉल्व नहीं है। मेरे जैसे सारे बौद्धिक, मैं अंग्रेजी का प्रोफेसर हूँ विश्वविद्यालय, 40 वर्ष लगभग हो गए पढ़ाते हुए अंग्रेजी को, पूरी निष्ठा के साथ अंग्रेजी की मैंने सेवा की है, लेकिन सिर्फ एक भाषा के तौर पर, सिर्फ एक भाषा के तौर पर। वह भारत के वर्चस्व की, ज्ञान की भाषा न बने, यही मेरा प्रयत्न। और यही प्रयत्न जब तक वैज्ञानिकों का समुदाय नहीं करेगा, then there will again be a huge rift between a Rupinder Tiwari and the Sector 15, the town and the gown, a Manu Sharma and the people for whom Manu Sharma exists. Please kindly think, rethink endlessly. Who sustains you? इस लोक के कारण वेद है। वेद का मतलब वो स्क्रिप्चर्स नहीं, वेद का मतलब ज्ञान। इस लोक के लिए आप बने हैं, अगर लोक की भाषा में ज्ञान का संप्रेषण नहीं है। दूसरी बात, कुछ ऐसी प्रत्यय जो समझना चाहिए, साइंस इज नॉट विज्ञान, जिससे मुझसे चिढ़े थे वैज्ञानिक। गो टू एनी यूनिवर्सिटी, they would excavate the town, see its archaeology and history. Science has done immense harm in its epistemology and science. Kindly प्रोफेसर तिवारी जी, इसकी etymology देखिए, इसकी epistemology देखिए. You have a better alternative to science. Science ultimately creates a kind of fragmentation, because it's a special kind of science which believes in dissecting, creating it also creates knowledge, but its knowledge gets specialized, gets compartmentalized into some very useful pockets, fragments. जैसे मैंने ज्योतिर्गमः असतो मा सद्गमः सा विद्या या विमुक्तये. This is the jnana and this is vijnana. We do not dichotomize between a kind of material sciences, normative sciences, empirical sciences and the all-inclusive sciences. I am getting what I am trying to say, that in the post-enlightenment Europe, this chasm, ये जो खाई है, जिसको कहा कि ये सोशल साइंसेज हैं, वहां भी सोशल ना होके उसे साइंस इस्तेमाल करना पड़ा. Look at this. So these sociological knowledges have to use that pratyay called science in order to stay relevant. एक बहुत बड़ी पोस्ट एनलाइटनमेंट यूरोप में एक बहुत बड़ी क्राइसिस इमर्ज हुई ह्यूमैनिटीज में क्राइसिस इमर्ज हुई, बिकॉज वहाँ साइंटिज्म डेवलप हुआ। ध्यान रहे वहाँ बहुत बड़ा विरोध हुआ, वहाँ के वैज्ञानिकों ने इसका विरोध किया। फ्रिट्ज ऑफ कापरा का द ताऊ ऑफ फिजिक्स आप देख लीजिए, आप श्रोडिंगर को देख लीजिए, आप आइजनहार को देख लीजिए, टैगोर और आइजनहार के आप डायलॉग्स देखिए, टैगोर और आइंस्टाइन का डायलॉग देखिए, वो विज्ञान पर खड़े। उन्होंने कहा हमारी देयर इज अ ट्रेडिशन ऑफ साइंस, डिफाइनिंग साइंस। साइंस SEKW, द रूट इज टू सेपरेट. So it's a special kind of knowledge that separates and then creates knowledge. That is also vital. It's not that science, but we have an overarching, all-inclusive, holistic notion of Vigyan. तो पहले ये ध्यान में रखना चाहिए. Communication. What is the root of communication? आपको इतना पढ़ाया गया. How to communicate? Communicate comes from the Latin communicare, that is to make common. बहुत important है. If you do not make things common, if you the equilibrium, they have the equanimity and they have the equality. So equality, equity, equanimity, mind you, they are all included in some. Sender and receiver have to be of the samana chitta. Sangarchadvam, samvadadvam, samvo manam se janatam. Your doing together, your speaking together will not be possible. किससे? मैं साइंटिस्ट हूँ, but I am doing science. Somebody is using science, but science is for all. It is not possible. संभो मनम से जानताम. जब तक कि आपके मन और चित्त शुद्ध नहीं होंगे, so science cannot be separated from character building. Science can never be separated from dharma. Dharma, not mazhab, not panth. Dharma means the morality, the righteousness, the resolve to do good. तन्मे मना शिव संकल्पम मस्तु. ये साइंटिस्ट का संकल्प है, ये साइंटिस्ट का संकल्प है हमारे यहाँ. आप जरा देखें तो जो एटॉमिक थ्योरी है इंडिया की कणाद की, उसका पहला सूत्र क्या है? क्या है? थ्योरी ऑफ एटम्स का पहला सूत्र अथातो धर्म जिज्ञासा. मैं लेबोरेटरी में काम करने के लिए कश्मीर सिंह नहीं हूँ. आई हैव टू डू लोक कल्याण, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम देयर इन द लेबोरेटरी. सो द साइंटिस्ट हैज टू बी कृत संकल्प. For which we have the udharana in our darshana, that material science and spiritual science, if you want to use these two terms, they are not independent of each other, they are interdependent and one. So send some pressure until and unless the receiver and the sender. I am using English. What is the position of English in the Constitution of India? It's a language never mentioned in the Constitution of India among the 22 languages. And lo and behold, your own constitution is written in a language which is not there in the Constitution of India itself. So first betrayal, first chasm, ये इसलिए मैं कोई वैज्ञानिकों को नहीं, जब इस राष्ट्र के निर्माताओं ने ये खाई क्रिएट कर दी कि language that has little microscopic social base will be the language of knowledge. मित्रों, समय आ गया कि वेंकैया नायडू ने कहा है कि भारत की संपूर्ण भाषाओं में ज्ञान की सारस्वत परंपरा जो हमारी है उसका प्रभाव होना चाहिए. इसमें कुछ भी गलत नहीं है. और यहाँ पर मैं आपके साथ एक दृष्टांत प्रस्तुत कर रहा हूँ. आप सब लोग साइंटिस्ट हैं, आपको साक्ष्य चाहिए. मैं आपसे संस्कृत में बात करूंगा, एक सेंटेंस आपकी समझ में आएगा. दो यू डू नॉट नो संस्कृत, मैं हिंदी पंजाबी में बात करके मैं अपने छात्रों के प्रति मुखातिब हूँ. मैं आपका हृदय जीत सकता हूँ, क्योंकि सीधा संवाद होगा. जो भी मेरी अवधारणा है, साइंस की हो, इस जीवन के बारे में चिंतन हो, सीधा संवाद होगा. उसके लिए आपको डिक्शनरी की जरूरत. लेकिन मैं कह रहा हूँ, मैं संस्कृत बोलना चाहता हूँ आज, और मैं देखता हूँ मेरे छात्रों का चित्त क्या कहता है. आज हम साइंस के प्रति कृत संकल्प है, उसकी शपथ लेते हैं हम विज्ञान की, साइंस की नहीं, विज्ञान की. तो मेरा पहला सेंटेंस क्या है? इदानीं वयं विज्ञान नामना शपथं कुर्मः. शपथ लेता हूं मैं अपने उस भारत की ज्ञान परंपरा, उस विज्ञान परंपरा की जहाँ चरक सुश्रुतराम है, आर्यभट्ट जैसे वैज्ञानिक हुए. लेकिन मैं आयसर में गया, वहां पर एक मठिया थी हनुमान जी. वहां पर एक डिस्कशन पैदा हो गया. सम मार्क्सिस्ट साइंटिस्ट ऑब्जेक्टेड टू दैट मठिया ऑफ हनुमान जी. They said, and it was in Mohali. Then I said, then how many gurdwaras, how many temples, how many mosques you are going to crack, you are going to destroy. A scientist can be invested with, can be inspired by certain values which he or she may derive from a material, from a stone. Ultimately, चराचर जगत विज्ञान है. Panch Mahabhuta is Vigyan, and science is only the biotechnology is science. That is the biggest fallacy, that if you are bio, you are in science. If you are non-bio, so this chasm between the stone and the living being, this chasm has got to be cancelled, because we are all Panch Mahabhutas. So Vayam Gyatum Apicheshta na kurma. What is scientific? We never tried to investigate. What is very? We tried to protect it for 3,000 years at least, but no one cares. Asmakam atitam पूर्णतया अनंगीकृत्य, हमने अपने पास्ट को पूरी तरह से अस्वीकृत कर दिया. We rejected our past and we rejected our notions of science. We have to be critical of our notions of science, but we should not reject. No country rejects. Then Paschatya Bhavanaya, Paschat Bhavanam, Paschatya Bhavana. We became the blind mimics of the Western discourses of science. किम वैज्ञानिकम, क्या यह वैज्ञानिक दृष्टिकोण? क्या हम विज्ञान को भी वैज्ञानिक दृष्टिकोण से कर रहे हैं? क्या हमारी वैज्ञानिक अंधता जो है वो अंधविश्वास नहीं है? ये एक बड़ा प्रश्न है जो स्वामी विवेकानंद ने ये प्रश्न किया था, ध्यान रहे, वेस्ट में. फिर ये मैं स्वामी विवेकानंद के व्यूज आपको बता रहा हूं संस्कृत में. एषा पाश्चात्य भावधारा काल परीक्षया इदानीम अपि न परीक्षिता, and you never seem to care as to how old the Western notion, how morally valid, ethically valid the notion of science, Western science is. We don't test it. Look at the pandemic. Our biotechnologists, our biophysicists have saved this humanity. But remember, the sankalpa was to save the humanity, to yoke science to the service of humanity. Not that you are creating virus after virus for destroying your enemies. Like the biggest blame on biotechnology or those people who are doing research is that they get allied to certain interests which are either national or multinational. Where what happens, that biological weapons are created in the same laboratory system where the vaccines are created. Look at the Ukraine war system. Why Russia is targeting those laboratories? Kindly spare a thought for that kind of abuse of science. What I am trying to say, creating science, doing science, speaking science, but somebody may be using science also. है ना? ये बहुत है. फिर वो कहता है एतत् सर्वं सर्वाधिक तया 200 वर्ष प्राचीन तया तेषु कतिचनं तदपेक्षया अपि अर्वाचनीय. 200-300 साल पुराना हिस्ट्री है साइंस की, वेस्ट में साइंस की, पोस्ट एनलाइटनमेंट की. हमें उसका परीक्षण करना चाहिए. Whatever is श्रेष्ठ is वर्णीय, हमें लेना चाहिए. Whatever is not श्रेष्ठ निकाल देना चाहिए. 1909 में महात्मा गांधी ने हिंद स्वराज में लिखा कि इस भारत की पूरी कमजोरी का कारण हमारी स्लेवरी नहीं है. उन्होंने कहा हमारी सभ्यता और हमारी संस्कृति की कमजोरी है, जिससे हमने पश्चिम की सारी सभ्यता को अपने ऊपर ओढ़ लिया. और उन्होंने कहा कि वहां की जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल प्रोग्रेस है, इफ यू जस्ट सुपर इम्पोज ऑन इंडिया द टेक्नोलॉजिकल प्रोग्रेस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी ऑफ द वेस्ट, इंडिया विल बी कॉल्ड ए सैटेनिक सिविलाइजेशन. उन्होंने कहा शैतानी सभ्यता बनाने जा रहे हैं. Gandhi is most violent, as you might have seen. Sir, ये क्या कह रहे हैं? Gandhi was most violent when it came to condemning the role of intellectuals like us sitting here. He was very violent. The apostle of peace and प्राप्त करने से भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं, लेकिन आपके चरित्र में जैसे ही अंग्रेजीपन एंटर होता है, you become alienated from your own people, from your own family, for whom you exist. Anyway, अंत में वो कहता है कि स्वामी विवेकानंद के सवाल, और मैं इन सवालों के साथ यहाँ से प्रस्थान करना चाहता हूँ. ग्रामम ग्रामम ब्रज, जब साइंस का कम्युनिकेशन गांव में होगा, तो सम का प्रेषण होगा, समानता, समत्व, और वो अपनी भाषा में ही हो सकती है ना. ग्रामम ग्रामम ब्रज, ग्रहम ग्रहम ब्रज. घर में कैसे जाएगा साइंस का कम्युनिकेशन? ग्रहम ब्रज, जगत कल्याणम कुरु. और ध्यान, जगत की कल्याण, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम इज ए मोटो, an empty motto if you do not know the meaning of dharma kendrit vasudha and dharma kendrit kutumb. Not that your neighbor is a part and parcel of your kutumb if that neighbor is not following the dharma, any kind of morality. Morality is the basis of kutumba as well as vasudha. And morality, dharma is duty. You do not perform your duty, there is no vasudha for you, there cannot be any kutumba for you. Then he says, jagat kalyanam kuru. जगत का कल्याण हो साइंस के द्वारा. फिर वो कहते हैं स्वयं, ये देखिए ये बहुत साइंटिस्ट की परीक्षा है. अभी मैं इनके साथ गया, इसमें बड़े हैजर्डस मटेरियल्स हैं कश्मीर जी, इन्होंने नहीं घुसने दिया. मैंने पहले सर्वेक्षण किया इनके डिपार्टमेंट में. अब विवेकानंद जी को मैं बता रहा हूँ, स्वयं नरकम याहि, साइंटिस्ट में लिव इन हेल फॉर द सेक ऑफ वेल-बीइंग ऑफ अदर्स. स्वयं नरकम याहि परस्य मुक्ति भवतु, परस्य मुक्ति. मैं प्रणाम करना चाहता हूं अपने उन वैज्ञानिकों को और ऐसे संस्थानों को जिन्होंने उस वैज्ञानिक सोच की उन्नति के लिए, विकास के लिए प्रयत्न किए, संसाधन दिए, क्योंकि स्वयं नरकम याहि परस्य मुक्ति भवतु, दूसरों की मुक्ति हो, समाज की मुक्ति हो. और इसमें ध्यान रहे, ना कोई हिंदू है, ना मुसलमान है, ना सिख है, ना ईसाई. इट इज कैमोफ्लाइज्ड इन द सेकुलर डिस्कोर्स. ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ, आपके बहुत बहुत बड़े स्वनामधन्य साइंटिस्ट कह रहे हैं. फिर वो कहते हैं अरे मृत्यु यदा अनिवार्य, मरना तो एक दिन है, मरना तो एक दिन है. अरे मृत्यु यदा अनिवार्य है तदा लोष्टवत मरणापेक्षया वीरवत मरणम श्रेय. अरे उस मिट्टी के लौंदे की तरह जीवन नहीं निर्वाह करना है, मृत्यु तो एक बार होनी है, बट वीरवत मरणम श्रेय. मैं अपने पूरे धर्म का निर्वाह करते हुए, मैं अपनी लेबोरेटरी में, मैं अपने विज्ञान और ज्ञान को समर्पित होकर, चूंकि मुझे लोक कल्याण करना है, इसलिए मैं ज्ञान वीर. ध्यान है, हमारे यहाँ वीर सिर्फ सोल्जर ऑन द फ्रंट नहीं होता है. वी हैव द विद्या वीर, ज्ञान वीर, वी हैव द दान वीर. रिमेंबर, इसलिए राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि होता है, और राष्ट्र से भी ऊपर होता है विश्व, और विश्व से भी ऊपर होता है संपूर्ण सृष्टि. इसलिए एक वैज्ञानिक से अच्छी तरह रित नहीं कोई समझता. रित, जहां हम आइडियोलॉजीज में बटे रहते हैं, ये राइट है, ये लेफ्ट है, ये सेंटर है. मैं प्रणाम करना चाहता हूं भारत की प्रज्ञा परंपरा को, सारस्वत परंपरा को, जो रित कॉस्मिक ट्रुथ के अनुसंधान में जुटी होती है. कॉस्मिक ट्रुथ, जहां न कोई भारत है, न पश्चिम है, न पूर्व है, न पश्चिम है, न उत्तर है, न दक्षिण है, जहां न कोई रिलीजियस कैटेगरी है, जहां न कोई कास्ट कैटेगरी है. दैट नोशन वो स्वामी विवेकानंद आपसे कह रहे हैं. फिर कहते हैं जरा जीवना संतस्तु, ये तो सब रद्द हो जाएंगे, हम लोगों में से बहुत से रद्द हो रहे हैं. मरणापेक्षा वीरवद अपराज्य स्वल्प कल्याणाय कृते. हम मरना है, अपने कल्याण का ही क्यों सोचते हैं? हम अपने कल्याण के लिए अत्यल्प सोचें. और संग्रामम कृत्वा मरणम किम नश्यते, और मरने से पहले एक बार इस जीवन संग्राम में अपना योगदान तो दे. इन्हीं के साथ में अपूर्ण वक्तव्य के साथ, सारी त्रुटिपूर्ण वक्तव्य के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूं और आप सबसे अपेक्षा करता हूं.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Professor Sudhir Kumar and his wonderful address, Professor Kashmir Singh, Dr. Sudhir Bhattacharya, Senior Secretary at the Panjab University, my colleagues Dr. Pani Gray and Dr. Mukesh Sharma, scientists and faculty at the Center for Policy Research, Panjab University, very distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. Let me apologize that I even thought of coming in person, but somehow due to some exigency in Delhi, I am not able to join, so I am joining virtually. At the outset, let me congratulate Panjab University, the Center for Policy Research, for having organized this very important symposium on significance of science communication and intellectual property in collaboration with the Department of Biotechnology. I think these two topics are very flagged by this symposium, and they are so very important. And I'm very happy that these topics have been in fact part of this science technology innovation. Given emphasis by the government right from the day of post-independence, the first science and technology innovation policy that was formulated in 1968 had emphasis on raising the scientific temper in the country. And in fact, later on, the scientific temper was also included as a part of the Article 61A of the Indian Constitution as fundamental duty of every citizen. Science communication is not a subject area. It is something the way you communicate science to others. This has been a kind of subject where issue how scientists communicate to science communicators, how science communicators communicate to the public. So basically, between the scientists and the public, this role of science communicators very important. Because in fact, most of the scientists who work in the lab, they know their science well, they know how to write research papers, they know well how to present their science in the symposiums and conferences. But then, leading scientists in the country who had in fact taken the role of science communicators had done great service to this nation, where they have in fact devised methods, they have in fact come forward with innovation to communicate things to the public. But I think as Professor Sudhir Kumar mentioned, this is the time when the science needs to be communicated in regional languages, in the local languages, because English is not the language of this country. I mean, although we all practice it so very commonly, because whereas we think it is very convenient to share science in English. But I think if you share science in local language, in regional language, it will be much more effective. It will give motivation to the young minds, only spoken language, and most of the people speak in local language. I think science must be communicated in that. So, in fact, Panjab is one state where this can be a very important communication media in this direction to popularize the science in Panjab, so that they can, people at large can participate in this. The science in recent years has been quite interdisciplinary, and now the quality that in fact multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity of education. Now, when you have such diversity in science, you all people in various areas, to lecture, popular lectures, to writing articles, to also talk to people in person. I think that's much required for for scientists to go and go to the community and teach. So this will excite people. Science, the excitement of science need to be, kind of taken to the people. As in fact, there is so much of science is a difficult subject, and so they get scared of that, and especially about the naturally centrics. People think that something which will go above my head. I think they need to be taught the excitement of science. How exciting is this science and how simple is that to understand. Both are important, and therefore the role of scientists and communicators to popularize the science among the public is very important. In the Science and Technology Innovation Policy that we formulated, there are several recommendations for the science communication. One of the recommendations is that we must have a kind of database on science communication. See, today we have a kind of, if you look at the entire science communication ecosystem in the country, we have a science communication cadre in the country, where people are trained to teach something. So, but there is no structure for this, and there is no database on science communication. Another area where we have looked at the issue is that science communication somehow is being seen as vertical. We have institutions like DST-Center, we have institutions like DST-Centre, and such kind of institutions are vertical. They were set up to communicate science, or the NCSTC of DST. I think we need more horizontal science communication institution. So one of the recommendations to the STIP is that we must create dedicated wing on science communication in each institution. So every institution must have a wing on science communication. So it's not the responsibility of an institution like DST-Centre or CSTC to communicate science, but also it is the responsibility of every institution in the country to have science communication as part of their work. Also, we don't have the culture of science popularization. And again, that is being thought of, is the responsibility of individual institution working in this area. So we need a kind of more holistic picture and holistic role of science communication in the country than what we have today. Also, as Professor Sudhir Kumar mentioned, somehow the Indian culture and the connect of science with the culture has not been taught in the general, in most of the institution or in the part of curriculum. We need now, India has very rich traditional knowledge system. It has so much of, I would not just say mythological, but in recent 200, 300 years of India, we have so much literature in science, and that need to be taught to people so that they can appreciate the value of science in their day-to-day life. Besides that, India is very rich in grassroots innovation. And these innovations are also not coming in as a part of the general teaching to people and also the common public. I think that also needs to be taken forward and communicated. And we formulated the Science and Technology Innovation Policy. In fact, publishing research papers. But once you publish a research paper, or once your paper, your research is accepted for publication, then you lose the opportunity of filing the patent. So this kind of awareness researchers need to be given that before going to publishing a research paper, please try in case that then you go next step should be go for publication, not the other way around. So therefore, in our STI policy formulation, we mentioned that there is a need for every university to set up an IPR facilitation center or cell, where there will be training given to the researcher, awareness given to the researcher, and also the facilitation for filing. But that also some researchers don't have proper understanding how to file a patent. I think I know Panjab University, not the university where there's so much of awareness already there. And I've been interacting with the group there and Center of Research also, and they're doing a good job. I think we need to strengthen this, and there are a good number of researchers as part of the CPR already working in this direction. And I think the need for more awareness, and I think Panjab University can take lead the country in setting up such a IPR facilitation center where they can, these researchers can take advantage of. The other issue is like, generally the grassroots innovators in the country, they don't have connect with the scientists. So they remain at one end and scientists remain at the other end. So there is a need for bringing scientists or faculty in the university with the grassroots innovators. And this is required mainly to facilitate awareness about the IPR file. But not only grassroots innovators, they don't have any awareness, they don't have any idea how to file a patent. Whereas if you look at 110,000 grassroots innovators are in fact enrolled with the National Innovation Foundation, and they are given training how to file the IPR. But India has a number of grassroots innovators, 10 times of this. And therefore, this is the area where the new policy is emphasizing that we must make better collaboration between grassroots innovators and scientists through university system. But also, we should take the next level forward and take them to the facilitation and the filing. Also, of course, DST is already working on the patent facilitation. We have set up patent facilitation center in every state. I think this is not enough because we need facilitation in every institution. State level facilitation center will not be enough. Also, DST conducts training program in IPR for women scientists. That's a very grand success. But I think we need more and more training to take place on this. Now, let me now talk about the way forward for the Center for Policy Research that we have as part of DST Policy Research Initiative. And I am very happy that Professor Gupta is here, and he has been one who has laid the foundation for CPR EU, and we are grateful to him for his contribution. And then subsequently, Professor Nirmala had taken pattern, and now I'm very happy that Professor Ashish Singh is now in charge of this coordinator of this. Now, this the idea we are building units. As you know, after the fourth Science and Technology Innovation Policy that came in 2013, the Center for Policy Research was set up at 5 locations. Now we are running at 3 locations, one at IST Bangalore, and the one at Delhi, and third one at Kyiv. Now, the way forward that we had thought about the CPR, that we are now going to expand the network to at least 6 to 7 locations in the country, spread over the covering the different regions. So we have right now 2 in the north and 1 in the south. We are now proposing to have 1 at least in the east or northeast, another in central India, another in the west India, maybe another on the eastern part in case we have more funding available. So this year we are going to have the expansion of CPR network to at least 3 to 4 more centers. But more importantly, what we are going to do is, in fact, we recently invited the expression of interest for setting up Center for Policy Research in the country, and to our surprise, we got 86 expression of interest from different institutions, including so many of private institutions. That really shows that the kind of work that India is going on in the policy research in different institutions. If you really see carefully, you find that more than 300 policy researchers are there in the country on the call. There will be many more. And an institution, 86 institutions have submitted their expression of interest. That shows that limiting our network to 6 or 7 CPR will not justify the kind of research network that we have with us. Considering that in mind, we have decided now to expand this network beyond CPRs. And we are going to set up DST satellite centers on policy research. These satellite centers may not get any dedicated grant from DST, but they will be recognized by DST, but they will also be given a special status where on case by case basis they will be asked to apply for the contract, and so depending on their capacity, their interest and their strength, they will be asked to submit the proposal for a research grant. So this we are thinking something like 2 dozen satellite centers and half a dozen CPRs put together become a network of 30 centers. This is our plan, and we shall be going to take off on this. And I would request all the participants here to look for this opportunity. This will really provide opportunity to young researchers, the students, and they will get the opportunity to work in the policy research centers.
Good afternoon, everybody. And also inviting us to deliver a talk here and also to interact with you all. In fact, I feel little nervous here because after almost 2 years I am standing somewhere in a dais, because otherwise we have been talking or delivering talks at the comfort of our own seat or own home. Okay, so anyway, let me try to be out of that comfort zone and try to do justice or try to interact with you all. Today I am going to share various initiatives of Department of Science and Technology towards the science communication and what are the future plans or scopes of improvement in this field. Yeah. To start with, let me have a brief introduction, although we all know almost how the science communication is important and what is science communication. But I thought without having an introduction, it may not be justified to start directly with DST. So, very first from our constitution, duties mentioned worldwide. And although there are several definitions or several ways of defining science and communication, these are two terminologies which together depict communicating science from the known to the unknowns, or from the experts to the general public, where we can share the values of science, the potential of science, how they can be applied for different solutions or to address different problems existing in our communities. Coming to the mandate of Department of Science and Technology, Department of Science and Technology as part of the Ministry of Science and Technology under Government of India is established in May 1971 with the main objective to provide with time or with requirements felt because of the dynamics or the developments worldwide and also at national level. DST is also mandated to formulate the policies relating to science, technology and innovation areas. Then it is one of the largest agency for providing extramural research grants in form of granting aids to scientific research institutions, scientific associations and bodies for promotion of different scientific activities, particularly research. It could be science communication, it could be some other ways where science and technology are related to. And I hope you might be knowing extramural research is basically the research grant provided by DST to all the institutions in the country, not only that they are part of the DST institutions. Okay, if they are given to only the agencies institutions or DST institutions, it could be called as intramural research. Then coming to science and technology communication, DST is also strongly contributing to science and technology communication activities in the country. It has been implementing the National Council for Science and Technology Communication, which is mainly focusing to communicate science and technology, to stimulate scientific and technological temper through diversity of initiatives at various levels. We'll discuss some of the key initiatives in subsequent slides. Then the other initiative as part of DST is Vigyan Prasar, which is an autonomous body as part of DST, with the main aim to take up large-scale popularization of science activities and also to promote and propagate scientific and rational outlook, and also to act as resource cum facility center for science and technology communications. We'll briefly touch upon some of the activities of both science and both NCSTC and Vigyan City for taking decisions or for taking of informed choices. The beneficiaries of NCSTC are all across the country, including the diversity of populations, the gender, the region, and the different age groups, starting from the students to researchers to practitioners, and also the innovators and entrepreneurs. Coming to some of the key activities of NCSTC, one of the important activities is organizing the National Children's Science Congress, wherein the young children or young scientists from the age group of 10 years to 17 years are given a platform to present their research-based ideas at different levels, starting from district level to state level to national level, and finally the national level winners or some of the outstanding innovations or outstanding ideas are suitably awarded with further appreciation or further scope of improvements. Then the second one, in the National Children's Science Congress, every year almost more than 2 lakh young children or young scientists, I will particularly say, they participate, and it is highly encouraging to see their models. They are identifying mostly the local problems to bring out some solutions to address those problems, and based on which basically the Children's Science Congress is focusing so far. Then second one is the Initiative for Research and Innovation in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, which is popular as IRIS. This has been implemented in a public-private partnership model wherein Intel India is, in collaboration with DST, is into implementation of this activity. And here again some innovation or idea-driven project is being developed by the students who are again participating at a national level, and the national level winners are selected to participate in the International Science and Engineering Fair, which is being coordinated by Intel Limited. Then the next one is AFSAR, which is standing for Augmenting Writing Skills to Articulating Research. This is basically to attract the scholars at PhD and postdoctoral levels to write popular science articles. Although the scholars are very much into their research domains, they are focusing completely on their research projects to complete their research and get the PhD degree. This program or this initiative of DST is trying to attract them to write science or popular science articles also, so that and this popular science article should focus on their own research. It is not that something out of the box they will be writing some article. No, they have to write on their own research topic what they are trying to do in their as part of their PhD. It can address the problem they have identified their PhD, or methodology they are using for the PhD, or the relevance of their research topic they are working in PhD, or even postdoc levels. And here there are some awards also to attract these young researchers or young fellows of doctoral level and postdoctoral level. We have an outstanding award at the PDF level or postdoctoral level, postdoctoral fellows, and some awards of excellence and some consolation prizes which are offered to the doctoral level students also. And all these awards are being conferred on National Science Day, which is being celebrated every year on 28th December. The next initiative of NCSTC I'd like to share with you is the Hindi Wiki, which is basically a science Wikipedia in Indian languages. And to start with, this is initiated in Hindi. As you might be knowing, almost more than 50 lakh science and technology articles are available in English in the Wikipedia, whereas if we come to Hindi, hardly between 1 to 2 lakh articles are available in Hindi. That means we are lagging behind in making available or making it accessible to our larger mass of populations who are not very much comfortable with English. As Professor Sudhir Kumar in his inaugural address was saying that what kind of challenges we have posed by selecting English as our language of communication or language of doing research or language of expressing science, we have created a hurdle or a barrier for a large mass of population who are not able to access to the science or the Vigyan, which they can understand easily with simply making it available in the in their own language. So this effort of DST is initiated to make it available, the kind of literature available in English or science literature available in English to be available in Hindi, which is planned to spread to other Indian languages also as the priority or as early as possible. And this is again, this translation of all these articles are being prepared with the use of advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and machine language tools, along with the support from the experts also, because all the time the tool or the technology may not be able to give you the perfection or give you the correct or accuracy of the language. So expert driven and the technology based support is being used for this purpose. Then coming to the demonstrations, which are the STEM fields, that is science, technology, engineering, mathematics and medicines. Different kinds of demonstrations are provided through the exhibitions or mobile science exhibitions, then science fairs, industrial tours, etc. Then folk media and different kinds of trainings and science media and science library, science literacy based tools. Coming to some of the examples like mobile science exhibitions, one of the best examples is the Science Express. Although in last 2 years the Science Express somehow has not been initiated because of maybe the main cause of COVID. Otherwise, earlier the Science Express was there, which is a train converted into a science lab or science museum kind of thing. It will run across the country on each small city or big city. It will have some few days of either 5 days or 2 days or 1 week to attract the students or general public who can get into the train and have the view or have the experience of the advanced technologies or the progresses made in the country or the globe on a particular topic, and they enjoy and appreciate the kind of knowledge or kind of science. All these are available in simple languages or popular science level of you can say materials or contents. And now, since last few years, the NCSTC program has been also contributing to mobile science exhibitions using some mobile vans, as you can see in this example, the mobile vans visiting different remote localities. A train can be available only in the platform, but a mobile van can get into a small village also, where the kids or the general public can get an idea or get an exposure to see the lab with some instruments, how they are working, what kind of some simple scientific experiments can be also demonstrated to the general public in a remote or rural areas. And now recently they have also targeted with bikes, means further penetrating into the remote localities where a van cannot get into. And there are many other activities through folk media also. They are trying to display or demonstrate the scientific knowledge or scientific content with some simple experiments. Then different levels of trainings or exposure visits are also being organized as part of the STEM demonstrations. Then coming to the celebrations of National Science Day, as I have mentioned, it is being celebrated every year on 28th February. This is basically to commemorate the great finding of Raman effect or great invention of Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman, day back to 28th February 1928, and we have been celebrating it every year, not as just a celebration, but to spread or to highlight the power of science or to attract the young talents and generate appreciation among the public towards science. Then National Mathematics Day is celebrated every year on 22nd December to commemorate the birth anniversary or birthday of our great mathematician Srinivasan Ramanujan, and this is again to spread the mathematics or spread the culture of mathematics among all our citizens and students particularly. Then NCSTC has been organizing the several awards or conferring several awards as part of the science technology communication. which all are conferred on the same National Science Day. These are mainly in different areas, particularly in print and I can say the in print in form of newspaper articles or book publishing in different languages. Then also in translation from English literature to any regional languages literatures. Then contributions towards electronic media also, and also some popular science articles or popular science communication activities also. Likewise, there are several categories of awards which NCSTC have been providing or conferring on the National Science Day to communicate or to spread the awareness about science communication. Coming next to some of the activities of Vigyan Prasar. Vigyan Prasar has the main focus of science communication popularization and its extension, popularly called as Scope for All. And some of the key highlights are Vigyan Prasar has been implementing a India Science OTT channel, which is a 24/7 OTT channel. It is available through its website. You can log into or you can access their website over a laptop or computer. And also there is very recently, last 1 or 2 years, a mobile application has also been developed wherein you can access to the India Science OTT channel, and it has a repository of more than 3,000 science videos and films covering almost all popular experiments or popular topics of science and technology globally, and also in the developments or findings in the country also. It is also into radio science programs wherein the contents are being produced and broadcasted through almost 117 radio stations across the country. Then they are into also the print and publications modes, wherein some 14 newsletters in different languages, including Hindi, English, and some Indian languages is being implemented. Then almost more than 300 titles of popular science books have been produced by Vigyan Prasar. They are also implementing a VIPnet Science Club, wherein around 500 local or regional science clubs across the country are brought into a single platform for creating science awareness and also contributing towards popularizing science through engagement of local publics. Then they are also into gender and technology communications for communicating the science for women and highlighting or focusing several issues women are facing in our environment, in our societies. Then there is a project Vasa where science communication is delivered through different Indian languages. Then one of the important or recent initiatives is the India Science Technology Initiative, India Science Technology Innovation Portal, which is planned or which is endeavored to develop as a one-stop shop for all kinds of information related to science, technology and innovation in the country. This is in progress to be developed as a centralized repository of STI, and as part of the new policy of science, technology, innovation, this is also going to be strengthened further so that all kinds of information in the country related to science, technology and innovation should be available through this portal. Again, this can be accessed through the web link, and also there is a mobile-based application also where you can access the India Science Technology Innovation Portal. Then Vigyan Prasar is also into several trainings, workshops, toys, developing toys and kits for easy communication, facilitating the simple and innovative ways of communicating science. And also they are into exhibition phase. Sorry sir, please.
So, can you just tell us about the VIPnet Science Club? Do we have in Chandigarh this club?
Sir, I am not sure where exactly they have. Maybe in the list we can check which are the organizations. These are basically, sir, NGOs or local science clubs which are registered as part of the VIPnet Science Clubs. And Vigyan Prasar has been coordinating with them from time to time to spread. Suppose COVID has arisen, so we need to spread COVID-related information or awareness among the local publics.
These are the nodal places.
Yeah, these are basically, they act as nodal agencies at local levels. In local languages, they can spread the same information with the local public. That is the main motive.
My only point was like, probably students would like to join this sort of thing.
Yeah, I think good, sir. I'll help you in giving more information and also getting connected with the nodal persons in the campus. Thank you. Yeah. Now coming to the key SNT policies in the area of science and technology communication, Government of India is formulating two upcoming policies. One is this scientific social responsibility policy, and the other one is the new science, technology and innovation policy. The draft policy documents are available, and wherein we can see the highlights of these policies or the focus of these policies. This SSR policy is basically focusing to strengthen the knowledge ecosystem and bring efficiency in engaging the scientific community to contribute their knowledge for benefit of the society. As Professor Sudhir Kumar was very much emphasizing in the inaugural talk, that we all scientists are good in contributing to our own research within our labs, but when it comes to come out of the labs and contribute to the society, somehow we are lagging behind. So this SSR policy is basically focusing to harness the skills or the knowledge repository, kind of moral obligation also, how we can give back to the society that we have gained out of our research or out of our academic activities in lab. So that the society can take the benefit of science, they can have awareness about science, they can start appreciating the science and also get to know what is happening in science, and out of that probably the society or the general public can get an idea in choosing the right knowledge or right information, how they can be benefited out of all these things. So this is basically to encourage or motivate the knowledge workers or the scientific community to spend some time out of their entire period of research or academic activities to interact with these communities or to interact with the general masses, to know their knowledge or to know their ideas, and also make them aware about the latest developments in the area of science and technology. This is the focus of the SSR. Then coming to the new science and technology innovation policy, this policy, along with all other aspects of science, technology and innovation, has tried to recognize the importance of scientific engagement and outreach with general public. Although in the initial consultations, the draft policy has not visualized the importance of science communication, but when it progressed with the consultations, a strong demand was felt with the media community, with the science communication experts and the domain experts or so-called experts in the scientific or technological fields, that a dedicated chapter in the policy should be there on science communication, and later on, as per the draft, there is a dedicated chapter towards science communication, which is focusing on how we can strengthen the science society linkages with various approaches or various programmatic interventions. And basically this chapter on science communication outlines the strategies to revitalize the country's science communication ecosystem through various approaches or various proposed recommendations or programmatic interventions under 4 broad categories, that is capacity building, how we can develop the capacity towards science communication in the country. Then to introduce research on science communication, as we were discussing yesterday only with Professor Bhattacharya, that hardly we have in our country a dedicated institute or dedicated wing who is doing research or contributing research on science communication. Although we are doing on science research on science, technology and innovation, but especially on science communication, probably there is an importance to carry out research also. Then outreach activities wherein we can spread the values of science, the development of science through different modes, as to popular science articles by the experts, engaging the media professionals, also focusing on spreading the science or some values of science, and also mainstreaming science communication. As in the morning, in the inaugural address, Dr. Gupta has also introduced some of the ideas or some of the approaches proposed as part of the policy, that a dedicated wing should be set up in each and every institution or public funded institutions, whether it is academic institution or a research institution, there should be a dedicated wing who can connect with all the research verticals within the institution and also connect with or act as a bridge with the general public or general citizens or masses in the surroundings, so that a two-way communication can be developed wherein the requirement of the public can be roped in or can be harvested, and that can be transferred to the research community, and the findings of the research community can also be passed on to the community for their benefits. So, with some of the key features of on science communication as part of the STI policy draft, already I have focused or already I have highlighted about setting up a dedicated wing in each and every public funded institutions. Then it also proposes to establish science media centers at national and regional levels, which will act as an interface between all stakeholders, whether it is the scientific community or the media professionals or the those into science communication or the general public who are in need of the knowledge or awareness about science and technology. Then also this focuses to establish some creative or cross-disciplinary platforms of science communication, which will act as a platform to enable dialogue and knowledge transfer between different stakeholders, and to also develop some community-centric programs and regional science centers, especially to promote science communication in regional languages. As we are discussing that language is working as a big barrier or great hurdle in spread of science in our country, because we are diversified with several languages, and from region to region people are familiar or people are having their own convenience or own comfort in choosing a language. So we should or we must act in reducing this hurdle or reducing this barrier and making it available, the information in all languages. Then providing publicly accessible and constantly updated and searchable database of science communication and related resources and opportunities for all stakeholders in the country. Then the policy also proposes to nurture science communication as a career. Very few in our society like to choose science communication as a career, and this policy is trying to or proposing to encourage science communication to be selected as a career for as our professions. Then this is also proposing to interact, develop interactions between science and society, so that the better connect or better linkage between science and society can be developed, and how it can be done through citizen science approaches or public engagements kind of thing, wherein the public can be contributing to the science and they are also getting benefited of the science and technology developments. Then the policy also includes a recommendation on incentivizing the knowledge workers to engage in science communication. This is exactly in the line of the scientific social responsibility policy, wherein the knowledge community or the scientific workers are encouraged to contribute to the or spend some time with the society in spreading the knowledge of science and also taking benefit of the public. And as we know, when we are going with that, we have a strong grassroots innovation systems which are mostly in the local areas it is developed, or in local languages maybe it is developed, so that we can harvest those grassroots innovations and get into the science of those grassroots innovations, and also we can promote the grassroots innovations with the availability of knowledge resources and availability of the resources in the local languages also. So with this, probably I will stop.
One of the places where I look forward to, great food, very warm people, and you can understand my love for this place and for this center which is coming up, because which is already established as one of the very good centers in the country. I had a cultural preparation on 5th and I was actually thinking whether I should come or not, but you can't, the way Radhika had called me up and when I saw this and with all this I said let us go. So, and then my friend Professor Rupinder is there, a very good scholar and one who has actually written this center. So here I am with you all, and whatever are the problems, I can just say that it has come because of my cancer. So you can excuse on that. So but it is not so like that. So what it is that I was looking at thinking of talking to you on IPR, but then Professor Singh also said that I also speak on science communication. So I will also speak on it. My point which Dr. Panigra in his excellent articulation expressed and which was expressed earlier also, was that I feel that I am from NISTATS, which was National Institute of Science, Technology and Development Studies. I did merged with NISCARE, National Institute of Science Communication Research, to become NISPAT now. So it was felt that, that probably, but what has happened is that, as rightly said, that we have a very long history in a sense of policy research in the country, and we have looked at innovation from various different ways, understood grassroots innovation to a large extent. We have created institutionalization for that. And many of these studies I have also brought in the innovation systems, where I work on innovation system research and indicator. But in a sense, the country communication research as such has still a lot of efforts has to be done to communication research. It is in a sense one way we are thinking of, as going with the line of the talk now, we are thinking of we have to actually communicate our science to them, to the public at large. And also to a large extent we are not talking of public understanding of science, research and all science, but it has moved away to become much more as engagement between the different stakeholders, between the society at large and between us. And then that type of communication research, how it comes across, how you understand the communication, that I will try to go across when I speak on it. But this type of citizen science and all that are now very much part of the international discourse, and new innovations are coming up through these type of engagements. And you can understand, when you go out, they don't talk of information communication technology, they call information society technologies. So they look at how society together can build up new types of communication, these new advanced communication devices, new advanced tools and all. So new innovations comes because of these type of communication. So science communication should not be one way in a sense. So that is an argument which I would always try to point out. So let us go with the topic of that. And what I will speak on science communication are, Professor, I was trying to bargain with Professor Kashmiri Singh, but he said that दो-तीन slides तो देना ही पड़ेगा science communication में. So my 2-3 slides will be on looking at scientific misconduct and science and how you communicate science in that way, because this is an issue which is very much related, that the whole science is built up on the trust which between you and the society at large. And this, how you do this, why, as I am speaking to the students, it is very important. It can be another lecture at another point of time, but the way we have to understand also that how we do. Your students, many of you are from biotechnology and all, which I see that, and you have seen that how important clinical research is, how important a particular very well peer-reviewed research paper is. Otherwise, it can give a wrong lead. You can see that in COVID-19. Wrong leads had also come because of very false type of papers which had come in. So these types of things all comes within this scientific misconduct which is a domain within communication research which should be touched upon, and I am glad that in India now it is being taught or it has been incorporated as one of the fundamental papers in research per se. So with this, let me start the journey of today. So you say that I will try to be, I have many slides, but I will try to be finished within the time. But what I will try to say is that the 21st century, when you are looking at it, I am looking at it from very different perspectives, and you know that I have, my domain of research is quite wide in a sense. Sometimes I also, so recently we finished 3 different types of studies. One study was with the STIP South Korea, where I was the lead author, and we tried to look at another work which we led that also is the first technology assessment, TRL, technology readiness level assessment of CSIR technologies. These are around 400 technologies, and many of our CSIR labs had claimed. So I also become quite unpopular in a sense, but I had because many had claimed of the TRL of 8 or 9, but we did a very rigorous assessment. I would say first in the country, where we involved all the industry partners to look at how to assess a technology with a particular readiness level. Means how ready it is in the market, to go to the market, what are the bottlenecks, at what stages it is. So this whole TRL assessment exercise which you did, and why I am putting this across to you also, that this is very important that the students and all also, when they are doing research, innovation and all, the assessment of the technologies, and I think we are trying to build up as a center for excellence in the country for this TRL assessment, and I think that, as Professor Upender just said in the morning, that MOU can be signed. I think that MOU can also look at this TRL assessment exercise, which actually now, it has come out as a book also. So I would be happy to send you that book also, with the TRL assessment. And the third is that the ISF which we did, India International Science Festival, the 6th India International Science Festival, which connected more than 1 lakh people, and I was the program coordinator of that. So there I came to learn also in a sense from these different participants from the 41 programs which we had, that how they look at, in a sense, connect to science as such. So that is, I felt, is science communication. Connecting, understanding from them how they look at science, how they are doing this whole traditional knowledge and their old ways of cultural, to all these aspects. And so these are the challenges within which, this is one hand which is India. On the other hand, this is this, where I have put this setting the state. That it becomes seamless. You don't even know whether it is human or machine. 4 billion devices are connected to the internet. Earlier internet was where we were communicating. Now there is this. So this is another type of science communication, another type of machine learning, another type of communication which is evolving, and trying to understand that these are the new complex systems where we are talking of, the new type of interfaces. And one characteristic of these new technologies, they are science-based. So you see that they are science-based. If you look, when you look at the top global regions across the world, which are performing very high at different time periods. So these latest time periods, we found that these top global regions which are outperforming have this strong component of science-driven ecosystem. So you see that science-driven ecosystem, science, technology, innovation-driven ecosystems are directly contributing to economic wealth and social well-being. That is the, earlier you just did that to 30 years back, and you find that these are the automobiles and all with the conventional industries. But now when you look at automobile, it is a science-driven event. So this, the science, technology, innovation, so you are at the right moment in history, all of you. We were not at that time. So you are in the right moment of history of looking at it. So you see, these are the different types of, I am diverging bit, and I will get, I think, 10 minutes more to finish it. But we are looking at it, how this science technology is shaping up, changing, and I wrote a paper in current science also on that a few years back also, how science is changing in the 21st century. And this, when you look at science, technology per se, you find that when I am talking of the knowledge-driven industry, it is the intangible assets which are actually driving these companies. And this intellectual assets valuation, it is not these big buildings and all that. It is the intellectual assets which you have and the way the patents and all these intellectual properties which they have, a company has, gives them that strength. The valuation of the companies has completely changed with these intellectual assets. And all when you see that, when you look at these various different evidences of that, you find that these types of new companies which are coming are knowledge-driven companies, and now in India also you can see that. Very exciting kind of the new DST science policy, the new policies which are coming up, and the new startup ecosystem which is emerging. Then it is driven by, at one stage of time, what we are trying to say is that, and the homegrown technology, what we are trying to say is that it should be, it cannot grow to that level if it is not have a strong intellectual basis of these startup ecosystems where they should have knowledge, value knowledge which are protected. So therein this whole, and that new directions are coming up. Now with the registration which is being done, DPITT has around 50,000 startups here, you can register it, and they are providing these facilitations for IPR and all that. So this is the link which is coming. But we have to understand also that India is a very dual economy. Dual economy in a sense is that we have a large number of informal and formal sector. Why I am saying is that it is, you may think that it is not connected to the topic which I am saying. It is very much connected. We have, I was surprised to know that there are many scholars of IPR, but they are not focused on plant variety protection, registration, and this whole understanding of this in that. One of my students is doing PhD under that, and when she proposed it, many said that can this be a topic of PhD research? And you will not understand, the same people are coming up, and then they are saying that we did not understand that it has so many much implications, that how this whole registration and that this plant variety protection, and wherein because you are from biotechnology and all, you must look into these aspects of plant variety, PVPR Act, and where you can actually, you see that informal sector is 67% there, and the formal sector is 11%. And these acts gives you a sort of a handle to protect many of your traditional varieties and many of these varieties which can be are new and extinct in a sense, extant varieties, and then new varieties also which you can register, and that type of registrations are slowly happening. But because these type of awareness and all, so here you can protect your crop diversity, here you can create new type of, we have made a few startups here, you can create new startups which should emerge from your Department of Biotechnology, because Punjab is such an important ground for agriculture research, and these types of new IPR, these type of provisions you must look at it. So when we are looking at the policy shift, we are looking from the policy shift, and as my friend and colleague and younger brother Pani was saying, that we have seen a policy shift, and when you see the policy shift, you see that now we are talking of social context, public engagement, responsible innovation, creating policies for creating an enabling ecosystem. This is the shift in the policy which is happening, and in this type of shift in the policy, you have to place your whole IPR of your studies and your science communication. This is the policy. I will not talk much on this, but you see that is the new shift, and in this, when you look at 2020, you see to make India STI ecosystem globally competitive, STI to address national aspiration, new mechanism for financing and governance of STI, intensify global linkages. So I tried to make a very crisp of this very elaborate STI 2020. Maybe I don't know how much marks I will get from DST-Center, but I made a very crisp assessment of it. So, and this is what is the changing scope where you are happy, where you see that National Innovation Startup Policy for Students and Faculty 2019. All of you must go and read that if you have not read it. There is great incentives now for the students to look at IPR, exploit IPR, and this they need National IPR Policy 2016. So on this, our new papers are coming. See, I would like to communicate to that extent possible. So this is an area where we are looking at this. So these are the documents which are very important for you also to see and see that. Now, with me you have to bear some academic conceptualization also. So this is what it is. What we earlier used to do is that had to give money for a sort of just handling this, what we call, the firms were not ready to invest in R&D, research, and also we were trying to give the public funding for SNT. Now as you see that, as your center itself is trying to do that, academy industry linkages and all that, what they are trying to do is that they are trying to look at it that खाली research paper करने से नहीं होगा, खाली ये करने से नहीं होगा, आपको पूरी सिस्टम के साथ लिंक करना होगा. That linkage to system है, and how you are building up that linkage system are, we are talking of this. I will not talk much on this, this is another area, but I thought just to introduce to you. I felt that quickly go through these main categories of IPR so that and draw some aspects from it so that we put the completeness in say. You can ask me question at any point of time and wherever you don't feel like that. So by this stage what you have seen that what I have tried to cover is the first part of this, where I have tried to say that India's is a shifting ecosystem where startups and a new type of public academic linkages are coming up, new types of documents are being created, and one lecture like this or two lectures like this, it is more that you also go and read these types of new systems which are coming up, how you also place yourself, and you have to place yourself from a very early stages. What is happening in our country here is that we have, the students are coming up with 3 or 4 or 5 research papers, 2 or 3, 4, 5, then they complete their PhD and all that. But when you go to USA and the other countries, they already have patents in their hand. So you see that at the initial stages itself, and you have to understand that initial stages itself is so important to look for filing a patent, as Dr. Akhilesh Gupta was saying, that your mindsets have to change. You have to see that whether this strategically, whether if I make a research paper, and if I already publish a research paper, that will be non-obvious. So it will be considered as prior art. So you have to think that consult, you have such eminent professors and all, they are consult that, look at it, whether search for it, whether you find that in the patent systems and all that, these type of patents are not there. Try to file a patent before, then you can go and do a research paper. So these type of changes, so you must have 1 or 2 patents also when you are finishing your PhD. So these are the new types of changes which are very important. I will not say much on this, but you see that I will just say that we are governed by the TRIPS Act, Trade Related User Property Rights Act, and many of our patent systems and all are in a sense defined now so that it does not disconnect from this TRIPS agreement. So I will not take much time on it, and I will just say that many of you are aware of IPR patents as such, but again, it is always best to reiterate that people know this, new involved and inventive state, capable of index application, but proper technical disclosure is very important. And how new technology can be put into practice, that should be very, very well specified also. So these two parts are very important when you are looking at filing a patent or looking at a patent as such. And these are the other issues which I will not put that, these are the other aspects. Again, when we are talking of trademark and all that, we think of it just like that. But you see that it also helps you build a brand. So why not think of putting up your own brand while you are looking at your new technologies which you are coming up. So you have to be innovative every time when you are looking at it. Now we have this industrial design. What we did, very interesting study which we have done for the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor, sometimes a few years back. And what we found that at that time, it was around 2007, but now it will not be like that. In fact, India had filed more utility patents, actual patents, what we call functional patents in the US, than China. Utility patents, but China, in US patent office, but in the US patent office, there are design, in design also you can get patents. And what we were surprised was the strategy of China, which we and Professor Upendra also saw it first hand. When you go to China and see that, what they did was that they filed large number of design patents. उन्होंने क्या किया, माउस का इतने तरीके से डिजाइन फाइल कर दिया होगा कि कोई आज कंपनी माउस एक बाहर या वाटर पेन का, इवन ए पेन, पूरा पेन इंडस्ट्री दुनिया का उन्होंने डुबो दिया. उन्होंने इतने तरीके की डिजाइन बना के वहाँ पे रजिस्टर करा दिया कि एनी कंपनी which comes for a pen, any company, they will have to go because that design is already conceptualized for them. Even lift का जो बाहर वाला जो जाता है किस तरीके से, so they did not do the utility patents. उसपे design patent do not have any utility function, but they did just conceptual कि कैसे design है, and they registered it. बड़े-बड़े दुनिया में market को companies को तोड़, and then I gave it to the PSA कि देखिए उन्होंने कैसे how they have done that, कि how they did this, thought of it की design, and bringing together China had this huge number. हमारे utility patent very very strong, लेकिन खाली utility patent लेके क्या करोगे? खाली डिजाइन ये जितना भी ये देख लो ना कि सारा डिजाइन ढूंढोगे तो 90% डिजाइन ये सब के चाइना ने ले रहा है. तो लैपटॉप तो आपने बना लिया, डिजाइन नहीं है तो करोगे क्या? डिजाइन के लिए तो उन्हीं के पास जाना पड़ेगा. So you see that how strategy is important. Then उन्होंने एग्रीकल्चर में क्या किया? They did एग्रीकल्चर में उन्होंने पेटेंट्स किया एंड नॉन एसेशन कर दिया कि हमारे देश के जितने भी लोगों को, चाइनीज लोगों को एग्रीकल्चर इम्प्लांट्स और जो भी बेचना होगा वो सब उनको फ्री में पेटेंट मिल जाएगा. वो पेटेंट को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन बाहर का कंपनी कोई भी आके कुछ लेना चाहेगा एग्रीकल्चर में या एनी इम्प्लांट में, दे विल चार्ज फॉर इट. So by that they protected their agriculture also from this. So strategy is very important in your research. खाली research करने से नहीं हो. Strategy of doing research is very important. That is why this knowledge of IPR, खाली वो IPR का पढ़ के नहीं होगा. How you strategize it. So these are all copyright and all which I will come later on. And then this part is very important of our Plant Variety Protection Act. I don't have much time to speak on it now, but here I must say that all of you study the Plant Variety Protection Act. You can also look at our paper and all that, and you will see that it will become very important for you, particularly when you are in the biotechnology, that how you can really contribute to the society. आप farmers group के साथ मिलके new plant variety को protect कर सकते हैं, new types of उनके varieties से आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, new, and you will have many, you will yourself can register to protect कर सके आप. और कई communities ने किया. We have around now 3,000 rights registration, and some of them, ESF and all that, they have protected our traditional varieties. So look into this aspect. So ये है, मैं इसमें ज़्यादा नहीं जाना चाहूँगा. it will take much time, and then there are different ways by which you can do that. Essentially derived variety, farmers variety and all that. So there is not much time on it. लेकिन मुझे तो बोलने का शौक है, काफी देर तक मैं बोलते चला जाऊंगा तो अभी तो फिर लंच टाइम हो जाएगा, तो इट इज नॉट गुड एंड अदर्स आर आल्सो देयर. एंड सो दिस इज, here I will not talk of much on this, but here also I will not talk of, I am saying that what is good. But ये important है कि इंडिया का जो न्यू IPR पॉलिसी है, someone was asking question on this draft STIP. You see what draft STIP is trying to do is that trying to give a horizontal link to the different policy. So when you are looking at this policy of this, you have to look at the startup policy, you have to look at IPR policy, and you can see that there are many different elements where which are useful for on this policy, which are, so these are the policy documents where you have to look at to see that how we are looking at it, and then we have tried to place these into different. I will not go into this, it will take much more time on it, maybe another time, another day. But what we have to be careful also that because the new acts which are coming, कहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा conflict है. जैसे है हम लोग यहाँ पे benefit sharing कहते हैं, किस तरीके से हम protection देते हैं community knowledge को. Internationally, the patent system they do not allow this type of benefit sharing. So then fair use restriction. They are also creating various types of fences by which the fair use protocols are getting disconnected. So these are some of the issues which are coming up, and with the new scope of protections and all that, we have seen that genetically modified plants, how these new scopes are shifting and making very difficult process. But then there is another way out for us, that if you can always go and protect it through your plant variety registration process. So these are the new challenges, and long time will come up to the same. So this is the 3-4 slides which are there, and with that I will finish. See, there is a growing demand for public participation in scientific and technical decision making and policy formulation, and that is this is growing demand and right demand. And what is happening is that नहीं मैं खाली IPR में एक पॉइंट लास्ट कहना चाहूँगा कि इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द कंट्री. लास्ट पॉइंट मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि हमारे देश में वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ ग्रास रूट इनोवेशन, वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ जुगाड़ इन ए वेरी नेगेटिव सेंस, बट वो नहीं है. द अमाउंट ऑफ इनोवेशन ऑल्सो कम्स बाय लुकिंग इनटू these type of informal innovations and all. And one provision which I must say that the government, we have said to the government many times about utility models protection, जो smaller level of protection देता है, that is not there in the country, but at least utility model protection is available in many countries, and you can always register those utility models in different countries. But here हमारे policy में there is an issue in our policy जो नहीं, जहाँ पे नहीं है वहाँ पे you have to say that, but still you must look into this frugal innovation and type of innovations and try to do that. So this is the second part of it. You can say that disconnected from the first part, but also has this meaning of there is a growing demand for public participation in scientific and technical decision making and policy formulation. Policy engagement, citizen science, these are not words. When we are looking at citizen science, I found that different country models, जैसे उन्होंने क्या किया पोल्यूशन के लिए, उन्होंने क्या किया, उन्होंने लैटिन अमेरिकन कंट्रीज में स्टूडेंट्स को इन्वॉल्व किया. जैसे कि उन्होंने एक सेंसर बनाया साइकिल में हर स्टूडेंट को वो सेंसर दिया साइकिल, एंड व्हेन दे वर गोइंग the sensor is reading the pollution of that place where you are going, and that is being tracked to say that इस जगह में कितना भी pollution है, कितनी pollution क्यों बढ़ रहा है. So you see that this is citizen science and public engagement. Fine, they don't have कि हमारे यहाँ पे जैसे भाई 3-4 जगह से, जैसे दिल्ली में अब 3 जगह में मॉनिटरिंग होता है. थर्ड मॉनिटरिंग सेंटर इज but यहाँ पे तो continuous monitoring with the student participation, students get incentives, rewards and all that. So we have also to think of these type of student engagement, participation and all that. So मैं हैरान हो गया, मैं देखा कि सबके साइकिल में सेंसर लगे हुए हैं, छोटे छोटे, ब्लू के बॉक्स के अंदर करके, तो ये सब नया नया चीजें हैं। एंड आप लोग भी एक सेंसर बनाइए यहाँ पे बैठ के और उसको लगाइए साइकिल में, right? Different type of sensors you can always create. So this is called citizen science. खाली ये सब कम्युनिकेट करने से नहीं होगा कि भाई हम कम्युनिकेट ही करते जाएं, ये कहानी से नहीं चलेगा। You have to involve them and you have to, it has to be a learning system. You have to also learn from them. This learning, this is the one way which we are trying to say. And I'm sorry to say that is what is happening. We have to look at it. And this point is very important, that when you are communicating, this is area which is a very important area of scientific misconduct, erode the confidence of the public and the trust, integrity, publication, morality. You know that, but still I will try to, this is a whole lecture in itself, but if people who will do research, they will feel that these are the variables जो connected है एक आपस में, and you will आपका पूरा नेक्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डायरेक्शन रॉन्ग हो जाएगा। आप क्लिनिकल रिसर्च में देखिए, द क्लिनिकल रिसर्च वी ट्राई टू फॉलो द पेपर्स व्हिच आर फॉलोड इनटू द क्लिनिकल रिसर्च एंड फाउंड दैट हाउ द लीड्स हैव कम फ्रॉम दीस पेपर्स। बट अगर रॉन्ग लीड आ जाए तो आप सोचिए कितना लंबा चेन ऑफ वेस्टेज एंड हुआ है। कोविड-19 में भी मेनी रॉन्ग लीड्स हैव कम बिकॉज ऑफ द रॉन्ग पेपर्स एंड गुड लीड्स हैव कम बिकॉज ऑफ वेरी गुड पेपर्स। So you see that these manipulations are so important, and when you are communicating science, this is an area which is very important of looking at it and of plagiarism and all that. So I will not touch on this plagiarism and copyright, but you must know that plagiarism is an ethical, moral and much more fundamental. Copyright is protected by law. आपने मान लीजिए 60 साल वो आपका copyright over हो गया, but प्लेजियरिज्म ओवर नहीं होता है। प्लेजियरिज्म इज एन एथिकल गाइडलाइन। आपने मान लीजिए कोई क्लिनिकली चीज को रॉन्ग किया, कोई चीज किया आपने रॉन्ग चीजें किया, तो दैट इज ऑलवेज ए प्लेजियरिज्म, मे नॉट फॉल इनटू द कॉपीराइट। एंड कॉपीराइट में भी आपको देखना होगा, आई थिंक द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर इज ऑन कॉपीराइट में देखना होगा कि ऑल्सो दैट यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल ऑन, ज़्यादा कुछ मुश्किल नहीं है। जैसे हमारा करेंट साइंस का एक पेपर था, पहले हमने एक और इंटरनेशनल जर्नल में करना था, तो हमने क्या किया, हमने Copyright.com एक है साइट, वहाँ पे हमने लिखा कि भाई देखिए ये हमारा पेपर है, इसके हम 3 इमेजेस को यूज करना चाहते हैं। उन्होंने Copyright.com वालों ने फिर डायरेक्टली करेंट साइंस को लिखा, हमने नहीं लिखा। फिर करेंट साइंस ने हमें कहा कि भाई आप करना चाहते हैं तो मेरे स्टूडेंट को कि भाई, और 2 जर्नल था, एक इंटरनेशनल जर्नल था, टेक्नोलॉजी फोरकास्टिंग एंड सोशल साइंस करना चाहते तो इतना पैसा आप दे दीजिए। फिर मैंने अपने स्टूडेंट को कहा कि भाई भिखारी का एक्टिंग कर लो, और भाई हो गई, हम लोग तो कर लो भाई, क्योंकि ग्रांट में कितना मिलता है। तो उसने लिखा कि इसी आई एम ए स्टूडेंट एंड ऑल जो लिखा जाता है, मैंने कहा भाई ग्रांट बना लो लेकर, तो उसे लिख दिया। तो वी गॉट द परमिशन की एंड वी सेड दैट थर्ड जर्नल में जो एक और इंटरनेशनल पब्लिकेशन हो गया, दिस वी हैव टेकन फ्रॉम द Copyright.com से हमने ले लिया है एंड वी आर यूजिंग दिस इमेज। So you see that small steps can आपको plagiarism से protect कर सकता है, and at the same time you can also very confident with her। अब हमारा तो all these are there small things, but what we have to also think, what we our policy makers को भी सोचना पड़ेगा कि खाली ये जो एज इंडेक्स, इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर और वो सबसे खाली जज करना ठीक नहीं है पेपर, क्योंकि हमने कहा कि भाई और फैकल्टी को कहा कि भाई आप तो साइंस कम्युनिकेशन करिए, 25% टाइम करिए, दीजिए साइंस कम्युनिकेशन का। जो इवेल्युएट करने गए APR में एक भी फॉर्म नहीं है साइंस कम्युनिकेशन में आपके 25% में इन्वॉल्वमेंट है या नहीं। एंड आई स्पीक स्ट्रांगली, एंड मैं एक्चुअली मतलब जब मैं बोलता हूँ आई कैन स्पीक टू एनीवन, दिस इज द इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट। नन ऑफ द APR ऑफ एनी इंस्टीट्यूट हैज दिस साइंस कम्युनिकेशन वाला पार्ट। हमने एक स्टडी किया ऑफ बिल्डिंग ऑफ द रिपोजिटरीज ऑफ द कंट्री, साइंस रिपोजिटरीज। इवन इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंस का साइंस रिपोजिटरी इज सो दैट, एंड दिस इज पब्लिश्ड पेपर, इसे नहीं मैं कह रहा हूँ। एंड बट ऑन द अदर हैंड वो लोग करेंगे भी क्यों? वो कहीं पे भी उनका इवैल्यूएशन सिस्टम में नहीं है, सो वी कैन टू कम इनटू द इवैल्यूएशन सिस्टम आल्सो। एंड आप देखिए बड़े बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज का, स्टैनफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी को देखिए कि हाउ
Very much, ma'am, and a very good afternoon to all of you. It's a very difficult job to deliver a lecture when the participants they are waiting for their lunch. Anyway, this is a very interesting topic for all the research scholars and the students. And why this topic is important, because it has been a proven fact in academics that whenever we want to publish our research paper with any prestigious journal, we have to sign a copyright agreement. Sometimes it is also called as a publisher's agreement. Why we sign copyright agreement? Because we are looking for a platform where we can publish our research findings. That is why we are looking for the journals where we can publish our research paper. And for publishers, why we are signing the copyright agreement? Because we are giving the right to the publisher that you can publish our research paper and you can distribute our research paper. But what is happening is, for publishers' point of view, these agreements they are using as a commercial tool. If you see the commercial aspect of publishing your research paper, what these publishers they are doing, they are taking hardcore research from you free of cost. They are not paying a single penny to any of the editorial board members. And when it comes to getting your research peer reviewed, being a member of various peer review committee, I can see it's very difficult to evaluate any paper because it's required lots of time and effort. These publishers, they are not paying a single penny to the review. But when you publish your research paper with any journal, what these publishers they are saying that your institution needs to subscribe our database. For example, if I will give you an example of Elsevier, yearly Panjab University is paying 1 crore 35 lakh rupees just to have access of all those research papers which is published in the Science Diary. So what I am trying to say is, for publishers, these agreements, they are commercial tools, but for a research scholar, it is very, very important to understand what is these publisher agreements. Because, you know, once you get the approval from the Elsevier or Wiley or Springer that your paper has been accepted, we are in so much hurry that without reading the publisher's agreement, we immediately sign the agreement, and when you sign the agreement, what you are basically doing, you are giving a full copyright to all your content. That is why it is very, very important for the student and the research scholar to know about what is copyright and what is these publishers' agreement, right? So, if I will talk about the outline of my today's presentation, I will discuss brief why publishing research is important, what is copyright and publishing agreements, what type of rights you are having for your content, that is called author's right, and the various licenses. And one of the very important licenses is called Creative Commons licenses. I don't know how much you are familiar with these licenses, but these are very, very important licenses which I think that every research scholar you must understand about this thing. And one more thing, like sometimes when you want to make some changes in the publisher's agreement, because these agreements they are written in so legal term, sometimes it's very difficult to amend these publisher's agreement. That is why there are various online tools are available which can help the research scholar in terms of making the amendment to the publisher's agreement. Right? That also very important for the students. Now, talking about why publishing research is important. We all know what is research, and what is research paper? It's basically a piece of academic writing that provides analysis, interpretation, and argument based on in-depth research. Right? And why publishing research is important? Because it makes scientific community aware of new knowledge and in their respective field, and it helps to advance knowledge and application. That is why these publications they are considered as an intellectual asset level, but also at the national and international level. That is why in academia there is a phrase which is very common, that is called publish or perish. And what is this phrase? What does it mean? It means that in academics, we are putting a pressure not only on the research scholar, but also for the faculty members, where in terms of getting a job, like for example, if you are applying for any faculty position in any academic institution, these research papers, they are going to play a very important role behind the selection. And for faculty member, if you got selected in any university, you want to apply for the promotion from one academic level to another academic level. There also you need to publish more number of research paper. Right? So that is why there is a pressure always there on the student as well as the research scholar that we have to publish research paper continuously. But there are some other benefits also, like almost all the academic institutions, they are now applying for various ranking agencies. If I will talk about the Times Higher Education ranking, QS ranking or NIRF ranking, all these ranking agencies, they are giving more than 50% weightage for research papers and the citations, right? And if you are applying for any project, if you are applying for any funds in any funding agencies, these research papers, they are going to play a very important role, right? So, there's a very interesting study which is published in a Nature journal, where the US National Scientific Foundation, they have conducted a study, and the period of the study was during 2008 to 2018, where they have ranked the countries based upon their number of research paper publications. And you can see from this slide also that China is leading from the front, and Chinese academicians, they have published more than 5 lakh research papers during this particular period. US at the second position with more than 4,22,000 research papers, and India is at the third position, where the Indian researchers, they have published more than 1,35,000 research papers. So very interesting study, and whenever you will have free time, you can download this research paper and you can read, and you can see how the countries, they are performing as far as publishing research paper are concerned. But one of the worrying fact for Indian research, which was also highlighted in this study, that Indian research impact is very, very low when you compare with any small European Union country. And what is the percentage of impact? It is less than 1%. And how we measure the impact of any research publications? With the help of citations, with the help of H-index, and with the help of other journal metrics. And there is a very good website for all the research scholars that is called SJR, and it's a publicly accessible database which provide you access of total number of research papers published by any country, total number of citations, and total number of H-index. And they are taking the data from the Scopus, which is well-known citation database in the world. If you rank the countries according to this particular database, and the period you can take from 1996 to 2022, and if you rank the top 10 countries, again you will find India is among the top 10 countries. What the worrying fact is, if you see the H-index of Indian publications, it is only 691, which is very, very less as compared to Italy or any other countries, right? So now, talking about what is the role of copyright in academic research and publication. So whenever we talk about the copyright in academic research and publications, there are 2 aspects. The first is related with your publications. The copyright which you hold when you are writing the scholarly paper or dissertation or thesis. And the second aspect is related to when you use the third-party content for writing your research paper, right? So it is very, very important to know both the aspect of copyright, specifically in academic and research publications. Now, we all know how tedious is to publish your research paper in any prestigious journal. And with this overview, you can understand how much time it will take to publish your research paper with any journal. So for researchers, they have to work very hard in terms of writing their research paper, and then they have to select appropriate journal where they can publish their research paper. So when you submit your research paper to any editorial board member, right? So they do the initial screening, and once they find your paper fits under the initial screening, then they send your paper for the peer review process. And once you get the approval from the expert or the reviewer, then the publisher, they give you consent that we are ready to publish your research paper. But before publishing your research paper, they need the copyright agreement which you have to sign. And this is the important part of my today's presentation, is to understand what is these publishers' agreement are, right? So majority of publishers, what they are doing, that once the reviewer, they have given the acceptance for your research paper, then they send you the publisher's agreement. But in case of plant science journal, as soon as you submit your research paper, at initial stage, you have to sign the copyright agreement. So this is, you can find the plant science journals, they are different in terms of signing the copyright agreement. Now we can say that transfer of copyright is the standard practice, and you will find this is the standard copyright or publishers agreement of the Springer, Wiley, or any reputed publishers. They are having the standard publishing agreement which you have to sign. Now talking about what is copyright transfer, what is author publication, and what is this license agreement. You can see this slide also, that copyright is basically a legal right that resides with the person who has created a work, right? Whether that is writing, art, music, or any other creative form. So when the author and publishers, they reach at the agreement point where the publishers, they are ready to publish your research paper, and you are also ready to publish your research paper in that particular journal. So they send you an agreement which basically outlines the roles and responsibilities of both the parties, right? And once you sign the copyright agreement, that means you are giving the right to the publisher. That means you are giving the ownership of your content to the publisher. And in return, these publishers, they invest time, resources, and money in terms of reviewing and publishing your research. So this is basically a standard practice for signing the copyright agreement. Now, what is basically this copyright transfer or author publication or license agreement means? It means the publishers, they are taking you a written agreement where you have to sign that whatever work you have submitted for publication, it is the original work, right? And you have not submitted the same paper to any other journal. Sometimes, the students, what they do, without waiting for the approval or rejection from the first editor, at the same time they submit the paper to two different publishers, and this is a very serious crime in academics. So that is why it is very, very important that once you submit your research paper to any journal, you have to wait for the editor's decision. Until unless you are not getting rejection or acceptance, you can't submit your paper to any other journal. And this thing they want you to give in writing that you have not submitted your paper to any other journal. And the article does not infringe on any copyright. It is basically for using the third party content. That if you are using the images, if you are using any graph, if you are using any data, you have taken the proper permission from the original creators, right? And the article does not include any material that would be considered defamatory or otherwise unethical. So basically, while signing the copyright, we are giving the undertaking to the publishers on these points. Now, what is publishing agreement? And before signing the publishing agreement with any publisher, you can ask certain questions before signing the publishing agreement. That when the work will be published. Sometime you will sign the copyright agreement and they will take another 3 or 4 months to publish your research paper. So before signing the copyright agreement, you have to make very much clear that in which journal issue they are going to publish your research paper, right? And the format, the work will be published in print or online or both. And if they have not mentioned the format on which they are going to publish your research paper, you have to make it very much clear that whether your work will be available only in the printed format or in the online format or in the both the format. And how many print copies will be made available? It is basically if you are publishing your PhD thesis as a book, right? In that case you can always ask the publisher if the author is entitled to any royalties, how. So all these things you can ask before signing the publishing agreement. And generally all these publishers agreement, they are of two types. First type is selling your property. So once you have sold your property to any third person, that means you have given full ownership of your property. And the second type of copyright agreement is called renting your house. Renting your house means you are giving the limited rights to the publisher, but majority of ownership you are having for your research content. So talking about the type 1, so these are the some standard lines. If you are signing any copyright agreement and if you are finding the similar type of paragraph, that means it fits under the category type 1, where the publishers, they are taking the full ownership of your content, right? And once you give the full ownership to any publishers, then it will create a problem for you, right? Another type is renting your house, and these are some of the standard paragraphs you will find in any publishing agreement, where you are giving the right to the publisher only for publishing and distributing your research paper. The rest of the rights you are always retaining with yourself. Now it is very, very important to know what type of rights any author is having if you are writing any research paper, any thesis, any dissertation, or any scholarly content. So these all are the rights which all the authors, they are retaining. Like for example, suppose I want to publish my research paper with any publisher, but the same work I want to publish in a translated version. For example, now I have published one research paper. Now later on I have decided that I want to publish the same thing in a Hindi language. But if you have signed the copyright agreement and you have not made it clear, then you have to take the permission from the publisher if you want to translate your own work. Now another condition is include the work in a dissertation or thesis. You know, most of the time, when you submit your PhD thesis, and before submitting your PhD thesis, there is a mandatory requirement that you have to publish 1 or 2 research papers, right? And once you publish your research paper, and then you will check the plagiarism of your thesis or dissertation, it will show similarity with your own published work. In this case, UGC has given you a rider where you can exclude all your research paper which you have published before submitting your PhD thesis. But if before signing the copyright agreement, if you will make it very much clear that the same thing I am going to submit in my dissertation, and for this I don't need to take any permission from you, this is the right which you can negotiate. Another is use the work in compilation of work or collective work. Expand the work into book form or book chapter. Yes, it's very important. Like I have seen in Panjab University also, even after submitting my PhD thesis, the same thesis I have published in the book format. So there are certain procedures which you have to follow. You have to take the permission from the chairperson of your department. And once you have got the comment from any of the examiner that your research work is fit to publish as a book, you can publish your thesis as a book form. But if you have not made it very much clear before signing the publishing agreement, the same work in future you may publish in a book form, then again you have to take the permission from the publisher, right? And then retain the patent and trademark right. And one more thing, like if you want to use certain paragraphs or images in your upcoming publications, right? That type of rights you can also negotiate. Otherwise, as per the copyright law, there are certain limitations that you can't take more than 40 words from any research paper. And if you are taking more than 40 words from even if your same paper, that will come under the category of plagiarism. Right? So what I'm trying to say is, I want to make you very much clear what type of rights any author is having if you have written any scholarly document. So these are some other, rights you can always retain, like if you want to use the same methodology for your upcoming research paper, you want to use certain images or graphs from the same paper in your future publications. So that also you have to negotiate. Otherwise, again, you will be from the publisher in case of using your own work, right? And one more thing, like if you are publishing your research paper from any funds or from any project, so sometimes there is mandatory requirement from the funder's point of view that you have to publish your research paper in open access journal. So if there is any condition, that also you can negotiate with the publisher, that this research I want to publish, and for the same research I got the fund from DST or NISCARE or any other funding agencies, and these are their requirements. So I want you to incorporate these requirements into the publishing agreement so that I can comply the funder's requirements, right? So all sort of rights you are having, but if you are in so much hurry and you have signed the publishing agreement, so all these rights, what you are doing, you are basically giving to the publishers. You are giving ownership of your content to the publisher. So it is always better to negotiate the author right, and all these rights every author is having. So it's totally up to you and with the publishers how much you can negotiate before publishing your research paper, right? And there are many websites are available which are very useful for the research scholar, where you can make certain changes in the publishing agreement. Like for example, there is one search engine, it's called Copyright Addendum Engine. It's a publicly accessible portal or a database which you can use, and you can use this search engine if you want to make changes in the publisher's agreement at 3 different levels. First is access reuse. Access reuse means, for example, you have published your research paper. Now you want to take certain portion of your research paper, it can include any text or images or graph for your next publication. In that case, you can select this category which says access reuse. The next is immediate access. Now for example, you have published your research paper. Now you want to upload the full text on your blog or website or ResearchGate. In that case, you can also negotiate with the publisher. Sometimes I have seen that many research scholars, what they are doing, they have created their ResearchGate account and they are uploading the publisher's version of full text of their article, which is a totally violation of copyright. Right? So you should be very, very careful. Now you want to upload the paper on ResearchGate or any research repository or any open access repository. In that case, you have to negotiate before signing the publishing agreement. And delayed access. Sometimes, the publishers, they will give you the acceptance, but they will publish your research paper after 3 or 4 months. In that case, you can negotiate with the publisher that I want to upload the post-print of my research paper in any open access repository so that I can reach out to the academicians, as soon as my research will be published. So for this, what you can do is, this is the simple screenshot. You go to this website, type the title of your research paper, name of the journal, and then author information, publisher's name, and just select the agreement type. So whatever rights you want to retain with yourself, you just select the right, and accordingly it will create you another agreement. And this 3 or 4 points you have to discuss with the publishers that I want to incorporate these conditions in the publisher's agreement. And if publishers they are ready, in that case you can sign the agreement. And whatever rights you want to retain, you can always have the ownership of your content. And one more thing, like whenever you are publishing your research paper in any open access journal, so the publisher they will ask you under which Creative Commons license you want to protect your content, right? So there are 7 categories. If you Google the Creative Commons licenses, it will give you the clarity of each and every license category. So you should be very, very careful while publishing your research paper in open access journal. Because if you are not aware about the Creative Commons licenses, the publishers, they will put the standard Creative Commons license and you can't change later on, right? So like for example, you don't want that there should be any commercial benefit anyone can take from your research paper. In that case, you can put a Creative Commons licenses that is called CC BY NC SA. So all those papers which are protected under this license, it means you can use the research paper for academic purpose, but you can't use the research paper for any commercial purpose. So this is another way protecting ownership of your content. And one more thing, there are many studies where it has been reported that even 50% of SCI index papers, they never get cited. Generally, what we think that once we publish our research paper in any Scopus or SCI index journal, immediately the people, they will start citing your research paper. It is not true. That is why there is a concept which is called self-archiving. What is self-archiving? Means uploading the preprint and postprint version of your research paper in various open access repositories. I don't know how much you have heard about Archive, which is one of the biggest preprint repositories. There's another website which is called Figshare, which is used worldwide by the research scholar for sharing their research or research data or research paper. So if you are not making your research visible to the academic community, nobody is going to cite your research paper. So that is why it is very, very important that even if you have published your research paper with any commercial publisher, there is one website which is called Sherpa Romeo. And what is the benefit of using this website? This website will tell you the copyright policy of each and every publisher. Suppose I publish my research paper in Nature Journal. Now I want to upload the same paper on ResearchGate or any other open access repository. So before uploading your research paper, you have to check the copyright policy. So the one method is you directly go to the Nature Journal website, read the copyright agreement. Another is go to the Sherpa Romeo, type the name of the journal, and here you can see the different right. So where this cross red symbol is there, what Nature is, as per the copyright policy of Nature, they are not allowing any researcher to upload the publisher version of your research paper. What is publisher version? Once your paper gets published in publisher's database in the form of PDF. So if you are uploading the PDF version on ResearchGate, that is totally violation of the copyright. So like you can check each and every journal or publisher's copyright policy, and that is why it is always recommended that instead of uploading the publisher version, you can upload the post-print version of your research paper. What is post-print version? The final submitted document of your research paper, right? And at the end you can give the citation or link. So if anybody they are interested to download the publisher version, they can directly go to the site and download. Right? So these are the different versions of any research paper. And another aspect is related with using third-party content. Now suppose you are writing your PhD thesis or dissertation or research paper. You should be very, very careful in terms of using third-party content or publishing or the content which is published by some other research scholar, right? So if you are using any third-party content, in that case you have to take the permission from the original author, right? And there is a concept in academics that is called fair use. So under these categories, there is no need to take the written permission from the original author if you are writing the paper or if you are using the third-party content under the concept of fair use. For example, if you are writing criticism or commentary, in that case, because you are using very small portion of that particular research, in that case also there is no need to take permission. News reporting, research and scholarship. Like for example, if you want to define any concept, I am writing research paper on stem cell, Now in the introduction part, I want to write the definition of a stem cell. In that case, you can use any standard source, but the limitation is whenever you are taking something as it is from the original source. If you are taking line by line and word by word, in that case you have to put that particular sentence or paragraph under inverted commas. And what is the limitation? You can't take anything more than 40 words within that particular course. And if you are using for educational purpose also, in that case there is no need to take permission. And plagiarism, we all know, is considered very serious academic offense, so I am not going to discuss about this thing. But yes, Creative Commons license, I can give one example. Recently, one of the professors of the biochemistry department, he has submitted the research paper with Springer journal. So Springer, after peer review process and everything, they have given the acceptance. But before publishing his research paper, they have asked the author that in your research paper you have used 2 or 3 images. Have you taken the permission from the original author? So professor has sent twice and thrice email to the original author, corresponding author, just to seek the permission to use the images in his research paper. But even after sending 2 and 3 reminders, he is not getting any reply from the corresponding author. Then he contacted me and I said, sir, आप मुझे उसका original full text paper भेजोगे? And once he sent me the paper, there I have seen, this is the paper. And if you see, at the end of this research paper, this research paper is copyright under the Creative Commons license that is called CC BY. What does it mean? It means if you are using any text, images, pictures for academic purpose, there is no need to take permission from me. So once the author has already made it very much clear that you have to give the citation of my research paper and there is no need to take permission, in that case, instead of sending reminder and email to the corresponding author, you can easily check under which Creative Commons license it is protected and you are free to use. But the important thing is you have to give citation to the original paper. And when professor replied to the Springer that this paper is under Creative Commons license CC-BY, then he never asked about taking the permission from the corresponding author. So that is why, as a student, it is very, very important to know if you are using the third-party content, under which Creative Commons licenses it is protected. Right? So these are some of the guidelines from the UGC regarding the plagiarism, and this is related to when faculty members they are creating the online content. In that case also they have to very, very careful while using the third-party content. Right? This I am not going to discuss with you because it is not related directly to the student. So just to conclude my presentation, what I am trying to say is, before signing your publishing agreement, now you have a understanding about the author rights. So you can always negotiate with the publisher where you can retain the certain rights as an author of the scholarly work. And if you are able to negotiate with the publisher and you have incorporated the clause, you will be, there's no need to take permission from the publisher again and again if you want to use the same work for your future publication of any other work. So thank you very much for
very good afternoon to all the participants, and a special thanks to Kashmir sir for holding this workshop and having us today here. Very specifically, after so long, we are back in the classroom learning session. So since it has been long for everyone listening to the session since morning, so what we have planned is that because we are both taking up the IP searching aspect, So we'll try and focus more on certain databases for everyone to have something to take back home with respect to the IT searching, right? So I'll touch upon a few databases that are completely available freely online, and we can all have hands-on on how to do our own search, because as we were listening to the other speakers before lunch, that it is imperative in current scenario that we know our rights. We should be independent enough to access the freely available resources, so that we can make an informed decision whether and how to go about protecting what we have invented. So be it be copyright for your papers, journals, at the same time being So I think all are researchers from the biotechnology background. So yes, we are all aware what a patent is, because first we should know that what we are actually trying to protect, right? If we are sure of the patent rights, then we'll be coming next to the criteria, what the examiner will be actually locating in your application, and then finally we'll see how to protect by the country itself. The central government provides those rights to the inventor or the applicant for a limited period of 20 years. And in lieu of the rights, you have to submit the disclosure of the application or the invention in the prescribed formats that are in the form of different forms of the patent. And in these forms, you clearly describe what exactly the invention is and how it has to be performed, right? On the basis of that, the examiner will examine the application in light of three main criteria, which are common for each and every domain of science, right? So your patent might be a biotech invention, or it might be a civil engineering invention. The criteria remains the same. So the examiner will be looking forward that whether or not the invention is novel, first of all. When he says novel, it has to be globally novel. That means you are the first person or the first applicant to declare that particular invention to the entire world, be it be in the electronic form, in the published journal format, in the news articles, or let's say pamphlets or brochures on your websites. It should be nowhere available before you file your application. And this is again the prime most important step of filing application, that before you draft your application, you don't have to disclose your invention in totality to anyone. And for that, again, as a researcher, it is important that once you are in the phase of going in for, try to file for your patent, and in case there is some urgency and you are not able to file for your patent before that, at least have an NDA form incorporated in your dissertation, so that the examiner or the university holds the invention for a certain period of time before making it publicly available to the world. And in that period of time, you should take earnest steps to file for your application. Because as soon as you file your application, you secure your priority, and the patent office, the examiner, he will examine your application just till the day before you file your application. That means if I file my application today, my examination, whenever it will happen, the examiner will stop his examination till today. This will be the last day. Important is inventive step. When we say inventive step, it is in the, I'll say, layman language, it is simply the technical advanced thing that is you are claiming in your application as compared to what was available. If it is like a protein extraction process, so probably the amount of protein that is getting extracted, if that is too high as compared to what it was known before, that becomes patentable. If that is like a new process or a new product itself, a new molecule or a new modified GMO, then you can file your application, and then the inventive step or the technical advancement will be qualifying on the basis of the intellectual contribution that you have put in your application. The third criteria being the industrial application, that means it has to be capable of being used by some industry. That means any process or any product that can be manufactured by the industry and can be put to use, or it can be worked out in India or in the world, and thereby it has to be licensed or it has to be manufactured through the patent grant. So these three criteria are like common thing or common criteria for all sorts of applications or domains. And then we have certain specific, requirements by the Act which has to be seen while examination. This is novelty. That means, again, novelty as per, researcher is something that is like new in his own sense. For example, if your laboratory, it is like focusing on stem cells. So probably when you are working on one type of stem cell, you will say that this is new. The other partner might be working on certain other stem cells. You will say that, okay, this again is new for me, or this is again novel for me. But when we see in the light of the Act, the novelty again is clearly defined, what will be called as new invention. So the new will be again, as per the Act, it will be new to the world for the first time, and that is how it has to be checked in light of the available databases, that you have to see whether or not the novelty is globally new or not. So again, if we see, we are trying to narrow down on searching. So the searching will be of different types, because the patent literature or the patent, I will say, databases will offer you a plethora of information. It will be like a gold mine of information, which probably is like ocean, and which drop you have to see or check or you want is dependent on what kind of, what is the reason for you to do that search. So if I am the researcher who has to go in for filing my application, so my, I'll say mission or my reason to do a patent search will be to check novelty and patentability. But if I am an industry and I want to put up a manufacturing plant, so I'll be more interested into checking the legal rights, whether I'm legally allowed to do that kind of manufacturing or selling that product or not. So my mandate of searching will be different. Then again, if we are like, I'll say, already into a litigation, we are two competitors and we are fighting that whether or not this should have been granted to the other party or not, then I might be going in for an invalidity kind of a search, and then again my my syntax formation or my strategy of searching will be different. So again, then narrowing down to my prior art search or novelty search, what we can do is that it will search, or it will let you know, the results will tell you whether or not this thing is available in the prior art or not. Prior art is simply everything that is available before you file your application. So prior art is not limited to patent literature, but it also will cover the non-patent literature or the websites or the blogs or everything that is digitally available these days. But this particular prior art will help all inventors, first of all, to avoid infringement, to counter or prevent oneself from surpassing anyone else's right, and then also to track the research and development that is going on in the field. So this is also a good reason to do search while you are trying to take up a project or trying to write your synopsis, because this information will help you know that okay, these are the things that is available, and now I want to take up a research aiming at a new thing, right? So this can be done, and of course the wealth of knowledge can be used for further research and things like that. This we have already discussed, that we have different reasons to do search, and the reason will actually dictate the strategy that we are going to take for doing that particular search. So novelty, particularly I talked about it, that we will be searching only about whether or not the invention or the claim that we want to make is new in light of the known prior art literature that is available or not. Similarly, different searches will have different subsets, but then I can quickly come directly to the searching aspect, because I really wanted to share my screen so that I can give you hands-on on how to do a search specifically on the Indian Patent Office database. That is like one of the easiest, and I'll say the first step, as being the citizen of the country, you have to file an Indian application first. And second, because the Indian database will give you the entire information of the Indian applications that are being filed, which probably is not comprehensive enough available on Google Patents or other freely available databases. So you should be, and you have to search on the Indian database separately. So we'll focus more on that. So for starting your search strategy, building up your search strategy, first thing that is important is that you have to create a syntax. When we say syntax, it is, I'll say in short, we can say that it is the keywords or the combination of keywords that you will be giving to the database for it to give back the results. So the syntax will be keywords that might be simple English words. It might be words in different languages. For example, if I am looking for something like traditional use of certain plant. So it is not only India which I will be focusing, but maybe China is also a country which has a wide base of traditional medicines, right? So I will be also interested in Chinese applications. So I might take up the Chinese version of the words to check in their database as well. So we have to combine the different different keywords along with certain operators, because when you have to join the words, you have to enter certain operators. These operators are again simple words that will have a logic behind their usage. For example, when you are trying to just give 2 or 3 word combinations to the database, which have to be taken as as a whole, or when all the 2 or 3 words have to be taken together in a document, you will combine it by and, right? But if in case you are looking at some synonyms or the alternate keywords, then you can use or. For example, if we say that any for example, pen. If I want to search for a pen, then I'll say pen or a writing instrument. And in case I am specific about pen, then I might say pen and gel, because I am specifying on a gel pen, and very specifically as gel pen in quotes. So these kind of variations you have to build up using the the keyword and the operator combinations as per the requirement of the database, because all the database will have certain basic combinations that are permissible, but then there are certain specific combinations which will be available or not available in a particular database. Apart from keywords, there is another aspect of building up your strategy, that is IPC. IPC is International Patent Classification, and this classification of course is a bit, I'll say it is more advanced way of searching, but then even if we don't upgrade ourselves to the IPC combinations, we can restrict ourselves to the keywords and operator combinations, and at your level, at least it will give you a very fair enough idea of whether or not you are getting a your invention is novel or not. So IPCs, just for your information, they are the classification system that are well accepted and adopted by almost all patenting authorities. And these classes will actually have all different aspects of the scientific domains, and each invention can be divided and is actually divided as per the IPCs by the patent office. So when we submit our application to the patent office, it will assign a IPC code to it, and that is how a seasoned patent searching examiner will be able to extract that patent application on the basis of IPC codes. But this is, of course, more exhaustive. At the same time, it requires much of your expertise to get down to the codes, because specifically in case of applied sciences sector like biotechnology, so one invention can fall into various different kinds of codes, right? Because it might be something that is like, if it is a protein separating instrument, so you think that it is falling into a biotechnology domain, but it might also be a equipment domain, so it might not only be restricted to one IPC code, it might have 2 or 3 or 4 IPC codes together for the single application. And it is much more, I'll say, convenient. If you are clear with the code, then you can simply check with the code and you will be getting to the very, I'll say, relevant results in the first code. So, with that background, why we are doing it and how we will be actually doing it, of course it's like searching on the internet. So we have different databases, because I think generally everyone has Googled something or not, something or not till today. So you people are very clear with how to give keywords to Google. So these databases are similar. They are the English databases. You have to give in English keywords to them as inputs. along with combination of the operators to make it more logical or to get back down to the exact subset that you require. But these databases again have their own, I'll say, limitations or specifications. For example, the first database that I've put in on my slide is Patent Office, Indian Patent Office database. So this will give you all the applications that are being filed or that is like in the process of prosecution in the Indian Patent Office, right? So that is like a subset. It is only giving you applications that are being filed in India and are under examination or have been examined by the Patent Office of India. But others, similarly, the USPTO will give information about the US applications. But the other databases, they have a combination of the patenting authorities. For example, the European Union has a common database called the eSpaceNet, which gives applications from the entire European Union at the same platform, right? So if you want to search for a German application, you can simply use the eSpaceNet. Then the Google Patents has been, I'll say, like recently one of the very user-friendly database, which covers almost, now it is giving a very wide coverage. Almost all the patenting authorities are being covered on Google Patents. But then it will, it also will allow you to have certain analytical tools. It can, give you certain graphs telling you which are the major inventors. So it will give you certain added features which are not available on the country-specific databases. Like the Indian patent database, which we'll just see, it will not allow you to analyze the data. It will not allow you to, download multiple pages of the data in one go. But the Google Patent database will be more user-friendly and have a wider coverage. Then the patent scope is specifically by World Intellectual Property Organization, and this database gives you the the entire gamut of the international filing that is being done through WIPO. So if you are looking at certain international application, then patent scope is a good database to refer. So based on what is your requirement, you can choose the database that you want to check in for. But all these above mentioned databases are freely available online. And then there is a category of the paid database, which comes at a higher, I'll say very high subscription cost, which are generally, subscribed by agencies or universities. So these might not be, accessible to you people, but the freely available databases of each and every country is there on their patent office website. So if I want to look for the Chinese patent office website, so there will be Chinese patent database. Similarly for all countries, they will be giving you link to search in the country's database on the patent office website itself. So with that, I have brought in some screenshots of the Indian Patent Office database, but I can quickly take you along. So you simply either on the Google itself write Indian Patent Office, or you can write ipindia.gov.in, and it will take us to the Indian Patent Office website, where we have the database that is freely available and very user friendly or easy, I'll say, to check for the inventions for their novelty. So this is the website of IPO, and IPO website will actually give you the entire information on all the forms of intellectual property rights. But then apart from specific information on each and every IP, we have on the first black box there, we have a public search link, and you can simply just click this link and it will take you to this page, which again will give you options of doing the public search. So you can simply again press patents, because otherwise you can do other IP searches as well. I'm taking you to the patents website page, and there we enter the keywords. If at all you have any relevant keyword from your research, you can let me know. Otherwise we use very commonly used keywords. So on this page, if you see, Are you able to read the tabs? Okay, then I'll set it. So on the left hand side, there is an entire drop down menu of the options that you can give to the database where you want to search. For example, on this tab we have title. So if you want to do a keyword search, you can use this tab. Otherwise, there are other options like abstract. I can search in abstract, I can search in title, incomplete specification, or going in my inventor's name, or if at all I know that okay, this application or this invention was from Panjab University, then you can add applicant's address or applicant's name into it. Otherwise, if you are sure about the IPC, you can give IPC as the input. Likewise, how seasoned you are in searching will depend how you want to search, or maybe also what kind of information. As a beginner, we can go by the keyword search and we can select abstract, which will be a broader search, because title, again, as per the Indian Patent Office Patent Act, it is just 15 words that are permissible as a title of the application. So it is too small, I'll say, words to search for. So I have selected abstract. And in the abstract, give me anything if you want to search.
Algal biofuel.
So I'll take biofuel. And then I'll also, help you narrow down on algal biofuel. For each and every search, you will have to enter the CAPTCHA. So that is again one of the limitations of the Patent Office website. And the CAPTCHA often says that it is invalid. So you have to keep trying. So try and try again is again one of the takeaways. So it says that the Indian, database may be, for biofuels, we have 193 patent applications which have the word biofuel in their abstract, right? Now this is a very broad way of searching, because we have given just one keyword, and again, when we are talking about our own invention, it might have certain very specific, I'll say, novelty features which are specific to your invention, because we are not actually, claiming a biofuel, but we will be claiming certain aspect of the biofuel. So now we want to see that other, if you want to narrow down this search, so here I add algal. In fact, algal. The Indian Patent Office again will not allow you to do a stems search. That means it will not, take the keywords stems itself. So you have to enter that. So now, to our surprise, the number has broadened when we use and keyword, right? So we have to be, again, one way of doing search is that you go about reading the titles and reading what it is, reflecting in the search, and then filter out by not keyword, by using the not operator. Otherwise, use more specific, keywords. For example, it's an algal biofuel. Use another thing that is very specific to your invention, and you can use it with and. Anything else that you can specify?
Technology specific. Can it be like the process or extraction of it?
Technology specific, you will not be able to enter it in a particular field, because when you drop down here,
Genetic engineering in elder species, like internet livestock.
genetic engineering may be okay. So it is increasing. I mean to say, then you have to again, above it, you have to be very patient enough to see. Now the number is increasing. We, despite being given specified giving the AND operator, which should limit the number of results. So thereby, you have to filter out seeing what is being given as output. So if we are not, for example, looking at some IoT or ML based systems, so you have to use not IoT, right? So that kind of things you will learn when you are doing your own search. And then your abstract, reading at your abstract, you should be able to, logically think what the computer will give as an output when we are combining these keywords. If the keywords are very general, you will have a very large subset, and if they are too specific, for example, if we are giving a taxonomical name, IPAC name or something like that, it will be too narrow, right? So you have to understand the invention, then start building your syntax and refine the syntax on the basis of how you are getting your results, because that will actually limit the relevant subset to you, and that relevant subset again has to be scrutinized one by one, and for that again you can simply click on any of the application and it will take you to the page where it will give the complete description of or all the documents that have been filed for that particular invention. So again, I can reiterate that searching is an art which will be mastered over a period of time. When you are doing it for your own subject or your own invention, you will be more clear on what you are actually aiming at. अगर आपके keywords ठीक हैं, then your operators have to be logically combined. If they are okay, then see for the other things like IoT systems you are not interested in. You are more interested in the lab kind of things, right? So you have to filter out those. Then reading the abstract also will give you idea, because the abstract, the written abstract will tell you what you are getting from the search, and thereby you will be able to filter out the unnecessary or the noise kind of document and limit yourself to the meaningful documents. If you are a beginner and you want to see the IPC, one good way is also that if you get a bingo document, if you are looking out at the results and you get a very close document that yes, this is something very meaningfully resembling my research, then you can check for the IPC that the patent office is giving to this document. For example, under field of invention we have classification which gives you different classification. If I just read out, because most of you are not able to see, so it gives H04L, one separate classification, then G069. I mean to say it is falling into different groups, right? So it's kind of a combination of different elements or different types of technologies that this application will be talking about. And this is how you'll be able to judge that this IPC is the best suitable IPC for me, and you can then combine it with your set of keywords and operators and keep on refining your search and actually get down to, let's say, 10 or 15 maximum relevant documents which will be very close to your invention, or which will give you idea, okay, this was what was available in the prior art, and in light of these documents, this is the feature which is like unclaimed or unreported in any of the documents, which I can probably be focusing on in my specification or in my documents, right? Again, a common question that comes to my office is that if at all you have filed your application, where to check the status of the application, because patenting being a very long or lengthy process, so you are curious where my application is. So on this search, I'll say the blue strip itself, we have different tabs. So you can simply go to the application status tab and then you can enter your number. So if you have already filed, then it will allow you to access the status of the application. So any number if we enter, if I just enter any random number, this was a random number, that's why it's not showing. But otherwise you just give your number and it will tell you in which stage of the prosecution your application is lying. Whether it is filed or whether it is it is published or whether it is under examination, FER is issued or not, everything can be checked. And similarly, each and every application that you see during your search, you can simply click on the application, it will take you to the page where you can access all the documents that were filed with respect to that application. So you can learn how to write your application. You can learn what kind of examination report you generally get once you submit your application. So all sorts of things are available online. You just have to go in and search. If you are just going in for priority search, then this is how we will do it. But otherwise, if we want to search in for the granted patents, now maybe I am someone who is looking for a technology, so I can also search in the granted application. So you have to keep a check where you are, in the database. You have to be very cautious. Agar aap priority search karen, then go in for publication, because the granted will be also be present in the publication. Okay. So this is like, as I'll say, it is one of the easiest database to work with, but of course with certain limitations. For example, it might not allow you to download the entire, let's say if it is giving 200, 600 results and you just want to scroll through all the titles. So you will have to keep on shifting pages one by one, and you have to read. It will not allow you to export the entire set of data in one go. Similarly, you have to use CAPTCHA each time you do your search. Many a times, scholars, they call up saying that, ma'am, I'm trying to access the website, but it is not working since one day, since half day or whatever. So website is, sometimes it becomes slow during the day. So these are the things you have to keep in mind, and then of course, technically it is very easy to search, because all the drop down menus will help you to devise or to use the keywords, how they have to be used in the particular sense. You don't have to check for each and every time. You don't have to check for whether or not my syntax is right. You just have to select the drop down and then enter your keywords, and logically by default it will take up the AND operator. Otherwise you can select the operator from the drop down menu. So this was the Indian Patent Office database, because the next speaker himself is like focusing on Google patents. It is like more of country specific database. Then we have a database which will be covering more of the patenting authorities in one go. So Google Patents again is one of the, I'll say, very user friendly database, which Saurabh will be elaborating and showing you how to do search on that. But this was regarding the particularly regarding the Indian Patent Office website database. Otherwise, we have many different websites which will be working similarly. I mean, again, if at all you have to check for other databases, simply go to their websites, and as we located the link on the Indian Patent Office website, you will have a separate link. For example, I am showing you the USPTO page, so it has a link for search for patents, and it will eventually take you to the similar kind of a database. But yes, each and every database you have to be more focused on how you are entering your keywords, because USPTO probably is not giving you the drop down menu option. It will give you a syntax example and the list of codes that have to be used, right? So you can enter ABST for abstract and then put a slash and enter your keywords in the USPTO, which were like simply putting the keywords in the Indian Patent Office website. So thoda difference hai, but ultimately the functioning or the working with these databases is similar, and it will take you to the relevant database subset, I will say the result subset, on the basis of the keyword that you are entering. और आपको filter out करने के लिए वो दोनों चीज़ों को simultaneously सोचते रहना पड़ेगा. One, you have to remove the noise by using not in case you are getting too many irrelevant results. And second, keep combining the most relevant features of your invention by and, or not, and you can enter the strategy into the database and get the best results. So I think we are, I think I've taken a lot of time. So in case anyone has any query, so we can take that, because I think taking too many databases in one go and taking home nothing. It is better that we have understanding of maybe probably one or two databases very nicely, and then you are encouraged to take up your own search at your level using those databases. Apart from that, in case you find any problem in searching, feel free to contact the Policy Research Center, or you can come to our office, because before closing my session I can at least tell you what my center can offer you. I represent the state government's node for DST at the Punjab State Council for Science and Technology, and my office particularly is looking after the entire portfolio for the academic sector of the state, wherein we are trying to help our innovators not only in searching but filing the potential cases through DST support, wherein you are not required to pay any fees, or you are not required to approach any other third party. We do the entire processing and filing your application at your doorstep. You will be only required to share your technical details with us in that case. We also try and do the capacity building workshops for the innovators, wherein if at all any of you have particular interest in learning, let's say patent searching, you are most welcome to my office on working days. So we can devise a 3-day, 5-day kind of a training program, wherein you can come to my office, attend office with my staff and learn how to do search in particular field at length. So that kind of thing can be done. Then taking things forward, we are of late also trying our inventors to connect with the right kind of stakeholders for commercialization. So if at all you are a budding startup or you aspire to become a startup, so probably we will be able to give you advisory support for negotiations, for technology transfer, for let's say for acquiring certain other technology from the third party. So that kind of connect we give you, and for these things all we do is take a token fees from the university or the academic institution, which is to be paid by academic institution and not by the inventor group. And this nominal fees is there on the website in case anyone wants to refer. So for a similar kind of patent searching that my office can help you with, your invention has to be sent to my office through the IP cell of the university, that is in the CIPP. So you can refer your application there and they will be forwarding it to my office, and we will be able to give you back a search report using not only the Indian Patent Office website, जो हमने अभी सीखा और देखा, but particularly we use the database which the Indian Patent Office uses, and it is like to bring more, I'll say, harmony to the searches and the examination report that you will be getting in after filing your application. So we use PATSIA database, and on the PATSIA database we will be trying and giving you a very comprehensive search, at the same time very limited kind of results, which you can easily comprehend and compare for taking your application forward for filing. So those kind of things my office can very well help, and we being local, you are most welcome to visit my office for any kind of IP support or advice. And particularly Mamta asked me to touch upon the women scientist scheme, because IP again is an upcoming field. It is very, I'll say, challenging, at the same time satisfying for a researcher. So in case you wish to make IP your full-time business or your, I'll say, your future employment status, you have to qualify the patent agent exam that everyone can do. But particularly for the women scientist, DST has a specific scheme which trains a woman scientist for entire 1 year in IP domain. So this scheme, I think the registration and the for the current year's nominations, it has already closed. But soon we will be having the advertisement for the next year, and you people, you can apply under this scheme, under the K1 IPR scheme, and it will be a paid hands-on training for the women scientists for the entire 1 year, and you will be given a posting nearest to your residence. So you can opt for the station of your interest. So in case you are another Indian candidate, you are most welcome to PIC. So we have been training our women scientists since last 10-12 years now, and most of them have now entered as their own consultancy firms because they qualified the patent agent exams. So you can also take up this scheme. Otherwise, for the boy participants also, feel free to take up the patent agent exam of the Government of India. The notification is generally advertised in the employment news. Otherwise, you can keep referring to the Patent Office website, and you will have the notifications there for the next year. So for preparing that for the patent agent, again, any kind of advice, feel free to contact us. Otherwise, most welcome to the field of IP, and for all the support we are there to help you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening to everyone, and thank you, Ms. Sunita, for a generous introduction. First of all, I would like to request those who cannot see the screen, please come forward if it's possible, since it's the last session and you would like to learn through it. Please come forward who are not able to read through the screen, because there will be keywords with these that will be shown. And to start with, we have seen oftenly that quite often that researchers, innovators finds the patenting process is very tedious. They can write the research paper, but they are somewhat uncomfortable with the patenting procedure, how to start, where to go, how to do it. But today in the era of digital economy, I think innovators can and must protect their inventions and monetize them. So today when people are using crypto and NFTs, there are different business models they are coming up with. So considering the growing significance of intangible assets like IPR, patents, trademarks, copyright, in national economy of course, it is worthwhile to direct our young researchers towards securing patents and other forms of IPR. So today I will be explaining the basics of patent search with some relevant examples, and today's talk will be going to help us learn to start protecting our intellectual property, especially patents. So the role of patent search in filing and getting a patent grant, and as a role of patent search as a business tool. So most importantly, we will be learning how to perform a patent search by yourself like a pro by using the available resources freely. So coming to our agenda specifically, we will be getting what is a prior art, and as ma'am have explained excellently that give excellent overview of the patenting procedures and what a patent is and why to search for a patent, an overview of patent searching, a recipe for performing a search, combining various keyword strategies, sample searches, and how to ensure your searches are comprehensive. That is particularly required before launching a product to the market, and how to create database to conduct a prior art search, conduct initial patent searches like a pro, and there will be search tips and tricks that will help you not only find your patent literature but non-patent and other things as well. So you all know about the prior art search. So what can act as a prior art? So prior art can be a literature that is in the public domain. Please remember this, and art cannot act as a prior art until it is publicly available. Internal documents of a company, not a prior art. Trade secrets, not a prior art. So these information just to keep in your mind because these will relate later on. And why to search for a patent? Like Ms. Divya explained about why to search for a patent. We do not search patent only for the patentability analysis. We do it for FTO. The major thing is FTO. FTO is freedom to operate. Whenever you got a patent and you go to formulate a product, now before launching that product into the market, you need to ensure there is this freedom to operate regarding that product, and without infringing anyone's right, you can launch that product. For example, you can see there is a stool and there is a chair. So these are two different patents. The first one is a device meant for seating purpose having at least 3 legs. So this patent is granted. Now the other patent is a chair having revolving hand and something blah blah, and this is also granted based on the novelty and non-obviousness things. This is also granted. But when the chair person gave a device meant for seating purpose having at least 3 legs. So this is an open claim protected, and they have to take clearances. So this is a critical thing why we do patent search, and this is the career option for you guys as well, as these kind of things are really critical. So for discovery purpose, like state of art searches, landscape analysis, it's just like you do your research work before starting your project or thesis work.
you just go for the literature search. So since it's the last session, I would be quickly jumping up to the searching thing and more of a practical thing. So before that, most of you, I would like this session to be interactive. How many have seen you a patent document as a whole? Have you ever seen a patent document? So exemplarily, a patent includes title, abstract, specification, drawings are optional, and claims. So why these documents, I mean how we search, how we look into the relevant information into these columns. Title is, as we know, brief, cannot contain the whole part, and the most important part remains the claim, which covers the novel features. So whatever is written in the claim, that is only protected. And drawings can easily help you see throughout and judge that your invention is different. Like you can see a machine and guess it is different from yours or not. So regardless of the kind of searches, like for freedom to operate or for validity, whatever we are doing, so basic step includes determining the purpose of search, gather the necessary data, just like you do in your research proposal search. So develop a search strategy, perform a search. So what is the difference here? Where is the difference lies? So difference lies in the search type. We do text searching for all our non-patent literature, whatever research work we are doing. The next is patent classification searches. As ma'am have told that patent documents are highly classified. If they are given some codes, they are classified under codes, IPC and CPC codes, and they can be searched accordingly. So we'll be, in the coming slides, I'll be showing you how to use these classes and search. So the searching. First of all, we identify the keywords. For example, I need to find the treatment for Alzheimer's. So my keyword would be treatment and Alzheimer. Now construct one or more possible search strings. How I use these search strings and optimize the use of synonyms. Why would I say that? For example, Alzheimer can be written as a neurodegenerative disease, but all neurodegenerative disease cannot be Alzheimer. So likewise, you have to decide based on the search type. If you are just looking for a specific thing, just write Alzheimer. If you are doing the coverage, comprehensive thing, just write, just include neurodegenerative disease as well. Similarly, for example, treatment. Now treatment can be written as treat or treating or cure or some eradicating disease or render disease free. These kind of words are taken based on the experiences, because patent documents are right to hide information, not reveal information. So why I have kept in this red thing, eradicate disease, it can be used, but the probability is very less. So it has to be on the decision on the searcher, that he wants to include these words or exclude for the time being. Later on, if you are not finding the relevant result, you might have to include these keywords as well. And the most important part is be objective in analyzing the result. Whenever a patent is examined, they will say the written terms only. They will go to the concept later on, but they will see the written things. If they are there, there will be an objection, and you have to reply for that. So whenever we think, we research something, we thought that it is novel. But when we search for your research, we take it as objectively. For example, we say that we have early detection of onset of Alzheimer, a method which can detect early onset of Alzheimer's. But early onset is not a novel feature for us. The novel feature will be the method. The novelty is the method. For example, your slow method is also detecting the marker ABC in body fluid, and similarly your fast detecting method is also taking marker ABC. So objectively these two are not different for us or for patenting purpose. So likewise you have to be objective while doing this thing. So this is a sample search which I have prepared. So likewise I told you that we have, you can read the keywords. So this is a keyword based search where I have kept the keyword three keywords in AND. Like first is antibody or immunoglobulin, that are most obvious keywords that I can use or that antibody can be written in the patent document. So second is therapy or treatment. I am taking the most obvious words because I need a focus search. The third one is Alzheimer, neurodegenerative disease, nervous system disease, and nervous system antigen. So with the keyword search, if you can see, the result number is 46,000. So it is not feasible, or if I screen the first 10 sheet as well, there are probability that the relevant documents lies way downward. So I would be missing that. So what can we do? See, I have told that patent documents are classified. So countries have come together and created common codes for the purpose of consolidation of the patent data. All the patents are consolidated under these categories, and IPC can be used to search almost 110 million patent documents worldwide. Okay, and the patent office all over the world are accepting this, and CPC is also an extension to the IPC, which is managed by EPO and USPTO. So this is just to bring to your mind that IPC, how to use these classification codes. These codes are placed under A to Y categories, which you can explore these categories. So based on where our search, continuing our search, medicinal prepare. This is a class I have picked up, A61 K39 00. This is a broad class which definition is medicinal preparation containing antigen or antibody. So if I put this class, only patents mentioning the medicinal antigen or antibodies having medicinal component will be displayed. So I put this in the box here, and if you can see, after applying this class, the result is still 44,000, reduced only 2,000, and still it's not doable, not feasible to learn all these things. So we have to always we have to use the combined strategies, and we have to do focus searches in between as well. So what I did was, I took, because that was a broad class, that A61 K3900, so I took a specific class A61 K9007, which really which defines the nervous system antigens which I was looking for. So you have to align your concept or area or your subject matter to these classes, whichever is the most relevant. So now the result is 449 only. So this is doable, definitely doable. These kind of documents can be screened. Even first few top pages results can be looked for, and later work can be done. So this is a kind of search we do using classification searches. Now there is a combined approach as well, like therapeutic antibody for Alzheimer's, or therapeutic antibody for osteoarthritis. So I have prepared this search. When I keyword search, it gave me 1,69,000 results. So I use the classification. This is the sub classification. A2, if you can see, A2I is general classification, and C, under the C, I have taken the classification C07K1600, which defines the immunoglobulins, a monoclonal or polyclonal antibodies. So when I put this classification, this C07K1600, so when I put this classification, the result goes down to 20,000, from 1,60,000 to 20,000 in the Google patent search. Now this is also a bit more. So what combined approach? Now I know that in the monoclonal or polyclonal antibodies or antibodies for arthritis, there are key players like Genentech or big companies, Novartis. They are playing a major role in this, or they are developing in this domain. So what I put is, I put the Genentech as an assignee. I hope you all know the difference between assignee and applicant. Assignee and inventor. Assignee and applicant is the same thing, and applicant and inventor is different. I hope you all know. Assignee is the owner of the patent, and inventor is the inventor of the patent. Inventor can be owner, and assignee can be, but it is not necessary that inventor is always the owner. So assignee, if I put Genentech in the assignee, the result went down to 2,233. So this is also a considerably large to screen, I mean at most. So what do we do? Like you work in the research group, and you know there are research group who are working on a certain technology. You can find it through the research paper, non-patent literature. Just pick out the names. So what you can do is, you can do inventor searches. I picked up one name like Audrey Goddard and I put it in the inventor section. Now the results are 86. So probably these results are very likely related to what I was looking for. This is the kind of thing you can try and try out. Most of you all must be doing the sequence searches, blast analysis and all. So this is a very good database, free database that can be used to do the sequence searches. It is lens.org, it's a patent lens, previously patent lens. You can simply paste your sequence in it, it will automatically detect as a protein, protein, whatever it is, and will give you patent results. For example, I have tried to put this COVID-19 forward primer. So it gave me results of over 500 results, but these all patents were filed which contains the forward primer and its title says assay to detect virus and RNA nanoparticle vaccine against SARS-CoV. So these kind of sequence searches give you really directed results at one go. Just simply type the sequence here and it's a free database. You can all use for your routine purpose, routine research work. You can know that how many patents for your sequence. For example, you are working on a new detection kit which uses a say gene sequences and which is your novelty. Of course, your mutated gene sequence is novelty which is you are detecting. So you can simply put the gene into the search and you can see where this gene has been used. There will be result. Most of the time there will be results. So this is a very good database to note down. Now these are the non-exclusive list of patent database. You can take a pic and I can send you the presentation as well with the center. So these, if you can want to take a screenshot. These PKO-AI, this is a AI-based patent net, as ma'am have told. USPTO, these are country-based databases, and lens.org, just we have discussed, and PatentScope is also a country database. And now paid, you don't need paid at this stage because you are very primitive in including your search. Like ma'am have told that searching is an art, so you will master it slowly. So, what you can do with your research product straight away? Like simple searches to start with. Straight away, what patent search or Google prior art search? Anyone see one? Okay, great. So this is how interface looks like. I typed an antibody for treatment of Alzheimer's and I got a patent which was relevant, EP270, and I clicked on the find prior art search. Here, if you can see in the blue part, you can see there is find prior art and similar documents. Read the documents which are filed before the priority date of this document. This is the prior art. If you click on the similar search, it will give you without date restriction. Similar document without a date restriction. So if I clicked on this first, this is a find prior art thing. You can see if you can see and read in the bar, there are keywords and they are before priority. So these are the relevant results. You can screen out top 10 results and you are likely to find the closest reference. So these are the things you can quickly do without any expertise needed. If I click on similar searches, so there are similar patents which are available. Now this is also a free database, free patent online. Here I also searched the term therapeutic antibody for Alzheimer's and I got the relevant results straight away. This you can also note it down. Free patents online. PQAI, as I told, it's a free database and I searched the therapeutic antibodies for treatment of Alzheimer's and it gave me few results. One thing I really liked about this database is, if you can see, there is an icon which says show mapping. If I click on show mapping, it will map the content. Like whatever I have searched for, it will map the content that is present in the document. So it will give me straight away the relevant part in the document. I don't have to read the whole document. It will give me the relevant part straight away. For structure searches, we have PubChem, PubMed, and SureChem. You must be knowing all these databases. So this is an important question. Just like everything is time bound, like our presentation and session today as well. So, when to stop? So, first ensure searches are comprehensive. And how do you ensure that? For example, this is a basic protocol which you can use to ensure that searches are comprehensive. Like first of all, you do the free searches. The results you find, you keep it. Then you do the keyword searches as we have discussed. Then you do the forward and backward citation of the relevant document. Whatever the relevant document you find, always must do the forward and backward citation. Most of the time, over 90% documents, you will find the relevant document in the citations only. The next is assigning inventor based searches. The similar goes with more than 70% you will find in this, because the inventor will work in the same domain probably, and they will take the technologies forward. You will also get to know what they are going to do. And when to stop? For example, you are doing it searching again and again and again, and you are getting similar result or same results. Then you can think that it's time to stop or change the strategy. Then multiple people should have searched. So this is the really part I would like to do. I always like to discuss with the youngsters and all, even everyone, because this is a very less known things. If you can read it out, these are the Google operators. Anyone have used the Google operators for searching? Which one you have used? And or, right, great. So these are the whole list of Google operators that you can use. Whatever we write in the Google, by default it is given in the plus format, like plus. Whenever you type or search a query in the Google, just see the URL bar. There will be written plus. The plus is an operator only. So likewise, you can change operator. You can use minus operator. This is can be used for your routine searches as well. I give you an example. This is a dairy milk. I simply search the dairy milk in the Google. Okay, it gave me the result set. As you can see, the pictures of dairy milk. But see, there are generic terms as well. Gene is a very generic term. Gene can be used for, you cannot find something by typing gene, right? You have to restrict it with something else. So how do you do that? So for example, dairy milk. I wanted a dairy milk supplier nearby my home. So I write the dairy milk and I got the result this. But this is irrelevant for me. So what I did was, I did dairy milk minus chocolate minus bar. I don't want a chocolate, I don't want a bar. So this is the thing which came to me, the dairy suppliers, and these are milk packets. This is simple Google operator you can all use. And the one more most powerful operator is double quotes, if you have used them. Just try searching using double quotes. Everything you search from today, just try using it in the double quotes. So I searched how to perform patent search for your own invention. So when I typed it without quote, it gave me somewhere around 94 lakhs results in the Google. But when I typed in double quotes, so it will search the exact match. It gave me 3 results. So you can use this tool to find plagiarism. For example, you do not have a commercial tool to find the plagiarism. What you can do is you can take 2-3 words which you feel that can be plagiarized or might be plagiarized. You using it in double quotes, you will find every references where they are written in the format, in the same format. So try, you can explore the Google operators more and more. So what are the key takeaways? So prior art is a very first step towards protecting your invention. Always conduct initial searches by yourself, then you will be able to know your subject matter best and you will be able to tell the other person or service provider or anyone. Always do your initial searches by yourself. Use multiple approaches like keyword, assigning, inventor in a combination. Always conduct a comprehensive search. Before filing a patent, it can save you patent cost. If you are going for international patent, then it will save considerably. Always do not just rely on the search engine ranking of relevance. Try different keyword set. A prior art could be anywhere in the form of available in the public around you. So you must focus that prior art could be anywhere, in this room, on TV or everywhere. So there is a case I would like to discuss about a prior art could be anywhere. So if you can see, this is a patent which was given to an inventor. The patent was to, there was a ship which was sunken. So the idea was to get the ship upside because it was leaking the oil. So the idea was to quickly get it up. So what they did was they pushed the buoyant body, you know buoyancy. They put the buoyant bodies into the ship, and eventually the ship came over. So this was the thing. But the same thing was shown in a Donald Duck cartoon, where the buoyant bodies have been pushed into the ship, if you can see, and the ship came over. So you can see the where else can prior art lies. So inventions are everywhere, prior art are everywhere. Just keep your mind open, and if you have any queries,